So, yeah, I like it better. I think I might start sitting over there all the time.
Welcome to the Alcohol Beverage Board of St. Mary's County meeting of March 10th, 2022. As we prepare to open the meeting, here's the guidelines. Public meetings are now open to the public. The public hearing is being televised live on St. Mary's County Government TV 95 and the county's YouTube channel. It will remain available for on-demand viewing on the St. Mary's County Government YouTube channel. My name is David Willenborg. To my right is Mr. Chen, Tammy Hildenbrand, our administrator, our attorney, Chris Beaver. To my left is Vice Chairman Watts, Barbara Hill, Mr. Cole, and in the audience we have Deputy Myers, Steve Myers, who is our alcohol enforcement coordinator. So the first thing on the agenda is going to be approval of the agenda. Do we have a motion to approve the agenda?
I make a motion, we approve the agenda.
We have a motion from Member Hill. Do we have a second?
I'll second that.
We have a second from Member Chen. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
It's unanimous. Thank you. Next thing is approval of the meeting minutes from February 10th, 2022. Has everybody had the opportunity to review the minutes?
Yes. I'll make a motion to approve the minutes from February 10th, 2022.
We have a motion to approve the minutes from February 10th, 2022 as written, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
And I'll second that as well.
Okay, Member Chen seconds it. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
It's unanimous. Thank you. Old business, extension of conditional approvals. Morris Point Restaurant, Christopher Susanen and Deborah A. Susanen requesting 90-day extension of conditional approval for outdoor seating. Please come forward.
How are you? Do you hereby declare and affirm under the penalties of perjury that the testimony you are about to give will be the truth and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Excellent. Please state your name and home address for the record.
Christopher Susanen, 22570 Keyway in Leonardtown.
Okay. Please have a seat.
And I have a letter from Mrs. Susanen giving Mr. Susanen permission to speak on her behalf.
Go ahead, sir, and please present your application.
Well, it's continuance of our conditional approval for the outdoor seating. And I would say that this would be our concluding visit as we're being heard by the Board of Appeals this evening
Okay,
in the same room.
very good. Anybody have any questions?
What are we waiting on? Why are we taking a little bit more time? Did you need
It was high hurdles.
high hurdles?
Chris, do you think this will be resolved within 90 days? Do you
It'll
think?
be resolved tonight.
Within 90, right?
Tonight.
Tonight.
Oh, tonight?
Tonight.
Oh, okay. But still, I'd do a 90,
Yeah,
just in case, yeah.
I'm sure I'll hear
do a
from him
one-day approval.
tomorrow.
You know, yeah.
Any other questions? We have a motion.
I'll make a motion that we approve the extension of conditional approval for Morris Point Restaurant, Christopher Susanen and Deborah A. Susanen, requesting 90-day extension of conditional approval for outdoor seating. We don't have anything as far as what it's conditioned on? No. Okay. That would be the motion. A 90-day.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second that.
Okay, so Member Cole made the motion. Member Hill seconded. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
The ayes have it. It's unanimous. Thank you. Good luck, sir.
Good luck.
Yep. Let's see you get it done, Chris.
Okay, we'll move on to new business. Premise changes. Bruder Garden, Geraldine LaRoe. Please come forward. Be sworn in.
How are you today? You hereby declare and affirm under the penalties of perjury that the testimony you are about to give will be the truth and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Okay, please state your name and home address for the record.
Geraldine LaRue, 41635 Camelier Drive in Leonardtown.
Okay, thank you. Please have a seat.
So you want to do a premise change, requesting extension of premise to expand outdoor seating area.
Yes, sir.
Okay, present your,
So we have an outdoor area that is comprised of basically 3 sections. So we have the first 2 sections that we already have a permit for. We did apply for a 1-day use of premise for the 3rd garden back in October for Oktoberfest. And we've been getting it up to speed since then. The fence was already up and all the fire marshal has seen it. And so we're just getting it ready for the warm weather.
okay. Questions?
Yeah, Jerry, there's a service bar now that will be in between the 2nd and the 3rd, is that correct?
Yes, it's closer to the 3rd, but it's in the 2nd.
Okay,
And there are kind of gates that doesn't block the view. It's an iron gate that permits that bartender to be able to see the whole of the 3rd garden.
right, right. Now, is this 3rd area then serviced by the deli that's there? Is there a service window or anything?
No.
So nobody could get anything to eat? They'd have to,
Correct. During the day, when the Brita Garden is closed and the deli is open, they do go into one of the first gardens and have, eat there.
okay, can they get that from inside the 3rd section, or do they have to go out?
They have to go out from the market section to get anywhere in the back area.
But there's no way out of that 3rd section because you've got the locking gate, correct?
Correct. There is the new, so the cafe is going to be moving to the middle bay, and they do have a door that goes in that way.
Will they be able to use that for service or for?
No.
No?
That is just an emergency exit.
Is
for
that
them.
something that you want them to be able to do?
I don't mind it, but I would rather them apply for a section for them to utilize and have it fenced off so that they stay in their own little section and don't have the run of all of Brita Gardens.
So that would be on them, and
Yes.
then they would have to come to us for a fenced-in area? Is that correct?
Whatever they need to get permits for, whether it's from Leonardtown or anything, to just section off an area for them with a fence and all the requirements so that people that are in the 3rd part of Brita Garden is not able to walk in there, into their fenced area.
Right. Now, if you're in the 3rd section of Brita Garden, okay, where are the bathroom facilities? Are they back inside Brita Garden?
They are, no, the Brita Garden doesn't have any bathroom facilities. We will be adding on, hopefully this summer.
Okay.
A couple of bathrooms in the Brita Garden, but right now they go into the Shepherd's Hillville Market bathrooms.
So they have to go into Brita Garden there's no way out of the 3rd section, correct?
No,
So they
there's
have
no
to
way.
go into Brita Garden.
Way back to go to the garden or go into the other door. You can't open it from the outside that goes into the market. So
Right.
they have to go into the Brita Garden and out that little side door that goes out into the market.
Oh, okay, that's the side door. Can you get into the market from
Brita Garden?
outside?
From outside, no, you can't.
You have to go through Brita Garden.
Yes.
Can you then exit
Yes,
that way?
You
But you
can.
can't go in?
correct, because
Okay.
it's an emergency exit.
Okay, but they're allowed then to go back into the outside seating area through that door, correct?
Yeah, if the alarm doesn't go off.
Okay.
think you can allow another business to use your outdoor seating, your Bruder Gardens outdoor seating.
Oh, okay. Yeah, they wanted the outside, but they're moving. They're getting ready to move to their other space. So if they should decide that they want to have some outdoor space, I'm going to have them have it sectioned off.
So you'll be relinquishing part of your outdoor area for them?
I may be, yes. I'll have to come back to the board and,
Because if the board approves this, it's part of her licensed premise.
That's correct.
So you can't allow another business to operate on your licensed premise.
okay.
You follow?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So now they get their sandwich, basically, and, when the Bruder Garden is closed, I know it doesn't
But
matter.
You have tables, no, because that's part of your premise. It's just like your interior Bruder Garden, when it's closed, your other vendors are not allowed, food vendors are not allowed to let their people sit in the restaurant.
No.
Right, it's the same thing.
Oh, okay. Okay, I'll be sure to let Leah know from now till the time she moves, which should be soon, I hope.
Okay, because,
Should-
I mean, you have the interior, Shepherd's Old Market, Shepherd's Old Farm, whatever.
Shepherd's, yeah,
Old Field.
SOF.
Sorry, honey. The interior, you have like,
I have seating
all
spaces.
seating, I would call it.
Yes.
Yeah, common area seating that people sit in. That's
Yes.
part of Shepherd's Old Field. That's not part of Bruder Garden. Bruder Garden is one of the vendors that has their own restaurant bar there.
Correct.
Right. Okay.
Should this approval be conditioned upon the fact that no one other than Bruder Garden is
That's
allowed?
the law. You
Doesn't
have
have to be.
condition
Doesn't
Yeah, but I mean, should that be included?
It's in the record, and that is the law. That would be like
Right,
saying.
right.
That would be like saying, can we condition that she can't serve anybody under 21?
Right.
It's the equivalent.
Okay, so we don't need to amend this at all, correct?
Because
Okay.
she doesn't have on here that she was sharing space. Or I would have had this discussion with her
Yes,
before, I'm sorry.
yes.
Right, okay.
No, that's
I'd like
okay.
to have these discussions prior. But yeah, you can't share a licensed premise with another vendor,
Okay,
all right?
okay.
So I mean, if she wanted to give that other vendor some of this outdoor space, she would have to come back to well, she wouldn't have to come back to the board. She would write a letter saying, I'm relinquishing back X amount of space, send us a drawing. And then that party would then, well, they wouldn't have a liquor license, so I wouldn't worry about it.
Correct.
So the only thing they would be able to do if we did a partition on there would be for outside eating?
They have nothing to do, what you're making a motion on today has
Right.
nothing to do with that other vendor.
But I mean, if that then happens, correct?
Not our problem either, because they don't
Okay,
have a liquor.
all right.
But yeah, I would just, as Tammy says, write a letter saying I'm relinquishing a certain amount of space, which will be fenced, which will be partitioned off from the Bruder Garden.
Right, okay.
Instead of an extension of premise, she'd be sending in a letter for reduction of premise.
Okay.
For lack of a better term.
Gotcha.
Tammy, are we waiting on anything, the fire marshal
Got the
or
last
anybody?
approval about an hour before the meeting, so we're good.
Okay.
She's good to roll.
Excellent. Okay, great.
Okay.
Any other
Thank you.
questions?
I still have work to do for them.
Do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion that we allow Bruder Garden, Geraldine LaRue, the request of extension of premise to expand outdoor seating area.
Okay, we have a motion to approve from Member Cole. Do we have a second?
I'll second that.
Member Chin seconds it. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
It's unanimous. Good luck.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Thank you, Jerry.
Okay, next on the agenda, special privilege application. Willows Recreation Center, Tricia R. Post requesting catering privilege. Please come forward, be sworn in.
Do you hereby declare and affirm under the penalties of perjury that the testimony you're about to give will be the truth and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Please state your name and home address for the record.
Tricia Post, 19507 North Snow Hill Manor Road, Lexington Park.
Okay, thank you. Please have a seat.
Okay, go ahead and present your request.
Certainly. So our restaurant at our facility has been doing happy hours for some different corporate events, and have approached us to see if we would do some on-site for them. So we received our catering license from the health department in the end of January, beginning of February, and wanted to go ahead and add the alcohol portion to that as well.
Board, questions? No?
Maybe.
Maybe?
He's reading.
Yeah, Tammy, so I mean, any concerns from
The
your
only
end?
thing we needed was her health permit showing that she is allowed to cater off-site,
Right.
and I've got that, and she's good to go.
Okay. I know when we approved these before, you're going to have obviously a bartender, over the age of 21 there to serve the alcohol and things of that nature. All that's in the request and the application. Just again, we've done these before, and whenever we do these, we want to make sure that, the off-site is treated, with the same due regard as it would on-site to ensure, alcohol doesn't necessarily leave the premises, and to make sure that, IDs and things like that are checked. So what is your mitigation process for serving alcohol at catered events?
Sure. So on our form, when we send it to, we have our first one in April. So on the form, it states, will you have anyone under 21 on it to the corporate event? And then our bartender, the reason we've entered into it is we have a new kitchen manager at our place who's also a caterer, and then Sunny is the bar manager. So the two of them work really well together, and people were impressed with them. So Sunny will be the bartender on every occasion. So yeah, he's very experienced in.
Now, Ms. Post, do you have, on catering there, do you offer like beer, wine, mixed drinks? No mixed drinks, just beer or wine, right?
For the 3 we have currently scheduled in April, it'll be beer and wine only.
And that's it, correct? Okay. Where, can you give us some idea as to the locations that,
It's government contractors near us. So Milcor just built a building in our complex. So we will do a retirement party there and another happy hour there. And then JF Taylor. They generally come to us for happy hours, but
Okay.
we're going to do one at their site as well.
okay, so it's all located within the complex, right?
At this point.
Mr. Cole, you have to understand, she's asking for off-site catering anywhere. not
Yeah,
just
correct.
for
That is true.
that.
Right.
And she can have beer, wine, or mixed drinks at anywheres, it's just like.
But
in
my
her-
question was just to
This next
find
year.
out if you were doing beer, wine,
Currently,
or
the 3
mixed.
we have scheduled are
Right.
in our area, and our beer and, have only beer and wine have been requested.
Okay, thank you. I had no further questions.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Anything else? Nope. Have a motion?
I'll make a motion that we approve the application for Willows Recreation Center. Tricia R. Post requesting catering privilege.
Do we have a second?
I'll second the motion.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous.
Who made the second?
I made the second.
I'm sorry.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
No worries.
Okay. Good luck.
Thank you. Thank you for your time.
Trish, next week, if you can send somebody with your license, and you will have to pay for that catering privilege prior to being able to use it, so you'll have to come down and pick up a new license.
Okay.
Will Monday be okay? Yeah. Okay, thank you.
Okay. Next on the agenda, Patuxent Fine Wine and Spirits, Tina Nicole Robinson. Please come forward.
Do you hereby declare and affirm that the testimony you're about to give under the penalties of perjury, correction, let me start over, my apologies. Do you hereby declare and affirm under the penalties of perjury that the testimony you're about to give will be the truth and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Okay, please state your name and home address for the record.
Tatiana Nicole Robinson, 22070 Mojave Drive, Great Mills, Maryland.
Thank you. Please have a seat.
So the above individual, Tatiana Nicole Robinson, was an employee of a license holder and sold or provided alcoholic beverages to an individual under the age of 21 years of age in violation of 28-2802B of the Alcoholic Beverage Article of the Annotated Code of Maryland. How do you plead?
Guilty.
Guilty. Okay. Do you have any explanation of?
My last customer, you guys.
Pardon me?
I was just trying to get them out. I mean, I'm not going to sit here and make it seem like what I did was right because I should have ID'd them. So, I mean, it was my fault. I was just trying to get them out the store and close the store down. He was literally my last customer.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, would you like me to read the facts into the record?
Go ahead, please.
Thank you. On January 14th, 2022, at approximately 8:50 p.m., St. Mary's County Sheriff's Office Alcohol Enforcement Unit sent a Sheriff's Office cadet, 20 years of age, into Patuxent Fine Wine and Spirits, located at 22599 MacArthur Boulevard in California, Maryland, with nothing in his possession other than $40 in cash. Once inside, the cadet retrieved 2 mini bottles of Yukon Jack Apple Whiskey, 50 milliliters each, and proceeded to the checkout counter and placed the bottles on the counter for purchase. The clerk, later identified as Ms. Tatiana Nicole Robinson, proceeded with the sale without asking the cadet for any identification for proof of age. The cadet completed the purchase of the alcoholic beverages and exited the licensed premises with the alcoholic beverages. The cadet thereafter reported to Corporal Patrick Handy, a member of the Alcohol Enforcement Unit, outside the licensed premises. The cadet described the sale of the alcoholic beverages to Corporal Handy. Thereafter, Corporal Handy and Sergeant Robert Merritt of the St. Mary's County Alcoholic Enforcement Unit entered the licensed premises, identified themselves, and informed Ms. Robinson that she had sold alcoholic beverages to an underage Sheriff's Office cadet without asking for any identification. Ms. Robinson acknowledged she failed to ask the cadet for identification when making the sale and explained that he looked old enough. Photographs of the alcoholic beverages were taken by the members of the Alcohol Enforcement Unit. Then the beverages were poured out and the bottles disposed of. All of the foregoing occurred in St. Mary's County, Maryland.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Mr. Robinson, are you still employed by Patuxent Fine Wine and Spirits?
Am I still employed there?
Yes, ma'am.
No.
No. Okay. Are you currently employed at another licensed establishment
Like liquor?
for selling beer, alcohol, liquor?
No.
You're not? Okay.
Are you currently employed, Ms. Robinson?
Yes, I work at Dollar Tree.
I'm sorry?
I work at Dollar Tree.
Dollar General?
Dollar Tree.
Dollar Tree. Okay.
My only other question, so during our last board meeting, we had asked that you were able to present yourself and present your case. I was curious, did you have an explanation as to why you were unable to attend
So
last month?
I originally came in this building and I talked to some lady at the front desk. She sent me to the courthouse. Courthouse sent me to the jail. Jail sent me to the ankle monitor place. And everybody else just said, hey, well, call them and let them know. Because I came in here and they sent me everywhere else but in this room.
Okay.
I even explained what happened at the front desk, and she was just looking at me like I was crazy. So I was just like, okay, well, I don't know what to say.
Okay. So you made
Oh, I
an
did
attempt,
come
it
in.
sounds
I
like.
did make
Okay.
it. It's just that nobody knew what I was talking about. They all looked at me like I was crazy, so I just went home. And then I met him right there, and he subpoenaed me again, and I came in here today.
Okay. Well, I'm glad you made it in today. You understand the severity of what's happening, correct? And why that's an issue?
Yes.
I guess you've kind of already explained it was, the last, your last customer, you're just trying to kind of wrap things up and get them out, but I mean, it's just difficult it's difficult to understand, given that I presume you had, at least I'd hoped, you had, been asking for ID for your previous customers throughout the day.
Yes, it's just he was the last one, hey, he's the last one, let's just get him, make him out. But I mean, like I said, I'm not going to sit here and justify like what I did was right. I was wrong. I should have ID'd him.
Well, the comment that was read into record that you stated, he looked 21 is also concerning. And, I mean, it's concerning for all of the licensees and employees that, I mean, this law exists for a reason, and, we can't just go by on what people, what people look like, right? Whether they look 10 or look 50. So I do find that concerning. I guess I have no other questions at this time.
You plan on getting another job, working in a alcohol establishment? No?
No, not
Serving?
at all.
Okay. Anybody else have any questions?
But I didn't want to do it then. I just kind of, I mean, I was the oldest, so they just kind of put me over there.
Okay. Okay. We'll move into, I guess, a penalty phase. And do we have a motion? No?
Yeah, I'll make a motion. I'm going back and forth on the penalty. So before I make the motion, again, I feel like it was more than just a little bit, I feel like it was more than just carelessness. It was more than just, an accident. Again, the statement of, he looked 21, despite the fact you knew what the rules were, right? You'd had the training, you knew what the rules were, and you blatantly blew them off.
But you didn't have RAS training, correct?
No, Ms.
She has not had the opportunity
I don't know if
to
she
have
has
the level
alcohol.
of training that somebody would have had pre-COVID.
I don't know if she had state training, though. I don't think so. We don't have her down for the state training either, so.
So
wanted to-
fair, let me ask this question. Did you receive training from Patuxent Fine Wine and Spirits, your manager there, on how to check IDs and what to
My
check for?
first day, no.
Your first day? How long had you been employed when this happened?
Till I met the owner.
Okay. How long had you been employed with Patuxent Fine Wine and Spirits when this incident occurred?
Probably, since I got into that position for the liquor store, how long
Yes.
was I working there?
Yes.
Not that long, probably like, I think I just started, I think my first day I started over there.
Okay. So your employee put you in the position to sell alcohol without providing you training? Is that what I'm hearing you say?
Basically. I mean, I kind of just picked it up on my own.
Okay. that's equally disturbing for different reasons.
How long after this violation, Ms. Robinson, were you terminated? This was on the 14th. When did they terminate you?
They probably like a couple days after, like my next shift that I came in. So
How many?
I worked that Friday, so I probably came in on that Monday.
And that's when they terminated you, correct? Okay.
And what was I'm kind of confused still, and how long were you actually working actually running the register and working before this event happened?
For the liquor store?
Yes. Is there some place
Since I started working there, but I got hired to be an actual cashier in the store. I wasn't hired for the liquor part.
So you originally weren't hired to work at Patuxent Fine Wine and Spirits?
I was hired as a cashier
As a cashier where?
in the store.
What store?
No, not in the wine store, in the actual McKay store. I was supposed to be a cashier. I was hired to be a strict cashier. I wasn't supposed to be in the liquor store. But I was the oldest, and everybody they had there was minors, so I had no choice but to go.
Okay. I appreciate that. Thank you.
Now,
So did they ask you to fill in the liquor?
Yes.
Because they were short of staff, or?
They didn't have anyone old enough who had cashier experience. Every cashier there, they have minors in there now, I think. I'm not sure.
Okay,
I'm not sure. Don't quote me on that.
okay.
Do not quote me on that. But, I mean, some people that I knew that was working there, they were 20. I mean, they were old enough, I guess. They were over 18.
So, Ms. Robinson, have you ever purchased alcohol before?
Yes.
Right. I mean, so you,
As you can tell.
yeah, so again, it is disappointing and frustrating that your employer did not adequately train you, and that's a separate issue that we'll address with them. But the reason why I ask, have you bought alcohol before? Because there's a little bit of an assumption that you realize that, you're going to get your ID checked. So, honestly, I mean, I'm inclined to be fairly lenient with you. Just people know I do try to give people a break, from time to time. I do feel like, and I'm saying all this before I make the motion, right, to explain kind of why I'm going to make the motion I'm going to make. I do feel like your employer kind of put you in a situation that was certainly not helpful for you. However, again, at the same time, I think you knew better, right? I think the reasonable man theory is you should have known better, and so I'm torn between those two things. So I'm going to make the motion. So based on the facts that we've been given and your testimony today, as pertaining to Tatiana Nicole Robinson for the violation of selling and providing alcohol beverage to an individual under the age of 21 in violation of 28 TAC 2802B of the Alcohol Beverages Article of the Annotated Code of Maryland. I make the motion that we fine you $100 to be paid within 10 days.
Okay.
Okay, we have a motion. Do we have a second? We do not. Okay. Does somebody want to amend this motion?
Can we, no.
Without a second, it fails.
Right.
So you would need,
I'm
you would need a
sorry,
no
you're
motion.
correct.
New
I'm
motion.
sorry. So it fails. Okay. Mr. Cole, you had your hand up?
yes, Ms. Robinson, at the time of the violation, was there any management in the store, or were you there?
store with me,
Yeah, or were you just there by yourself?
in the liquor store by myself. Well, there's no management over there. You can call them over there, but they have to walk over there. It's literally one cashier.
Okay, where do they walk from? From over to the grocery store?
Yes.
I got a problem with that.
Now, let's focus on this, please.
Yeah, but I mean, my concern was, was she there all by herself? And that's the point I wanted to find out. No supervision,
Now, we're in a penalty phase now, so let's
no
focus on the
training,
penalty.
well,
So
that's,
so again, that was why.
that's why I had my hand up.
Right. Well, that was why I wanted to apply a little bit of leniency and not apply the maximum fine, because for that reason, and
Right.
for other reasons, I do feel like she was set up to fail. Okay, so that's part of the reason why I wanted to have some leniency here, but
What would be, Mr. Chairman, what would be the maximum we could find her?
The maximum you can find is 500,
500, okay.
and you cannot sit there and have her do training. They can volunteer to do training, but that's not.
Right, correct. And can you offset that fine? Or is that?
You could actually still do that. You can defer, that's like anything else, and say that it's going to be X with,
that was different
Correct.
word that came out from the administrator. As of this week, we cannot hold anything in
you
abeyance.
can't, nothing?
Not for a clerk.
Not for the
Yeah, I'm sorry.
That's
Okay, so you
It's-
cannot, it's
Not
just
for the-
a straight fine, correct?
It's a straight fine.
That's correct.
Okay, thank you.
We haven't done many of these.
I know, and it's different for the clerks or the license.
Or the licensee. Correct.
So, we're going to try this again?
I'm happy to make my
So we're
motion.
now back to making a motion on the,
I think he would like to make another motion. He's already said yes.
I mean, I can make the motion again, but obviously, if there's any other discussion on the previous motion, my motion will basically be the same as the previous,
Go ahead, say your motion.
unless you had,
Yeah, I'd like to make a motion.
okay, carry on.
So hearing all this, you're set up to fail, and trying to be consistent somewhat from previous meeting where there was a violation, I'd like to make a motion to reduce it, fine to $50.
Okay, we have a motion of $50 for the penalty. Do we have a second?
I'll second that motion.
We have a second. Discussion? Nothing? All in favor?
aye?
Opposed?
Aye.
Ayes have it. Member Watts is the one who opposed it. Okay, thank you. Wait. So there's a fine, so you have to pay it within 10 days, and you would make it to the board office, to Tamara Hildebrand,
So do I bring it here, or
to
do I
the
just send
Alcohol
it?
Beverage Board office.
You bring it to my office, hon, and do you still have your summons?
Yes.
I think my address is at the top of that, but you did call after the last meeting, so just call me and I'll give you directions, okay?
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay,
So did we
Very good.
cover all the checks in the box this time?
Yes, sir.
Okay,
okay.
thank you. Sorry for the
Thank
confusion,
you.
too.
Thank you, Ms. Robinson.
Okay, Corner Liquors. I'm going to mess this up. Shambhuhai Patel, sale of alcoholic beverages to a person under age of 21 in violation of 6-304 of the Alcohol Beverage Article and the Annotated Code of Maryland, and 5.04J of the Rules and Regulations of the Alcohol Beverage Board of St. Mary's County. Please be sworn in.
Do you hereby declare and affirm under the penalties of perjury that the testimony you are about to give will be the truth and nothing but the truth? Okay, please state your name and your home address for the record.
My name is Shambhuhai Patel, and my address is 20951 Redundant Dark, Lexington Park, Maryland, 20653.
Very good. Please sit down, sir.
And will, Mr. Patel, will you be the only one testifying at this time, or use representation?
Good afternoon. David Weigel, Dugan, McKissick, and Longmore, on behalf of Mr. Patel. Also with me is Anesh Patel. Mr. Patel has a little bit difficulty speaking and understanding English, and Mr. Patel, who also helps manage Corner Liquors, is here to help translate as necessary. So if he needs to be sworn in, it would probably be a good idea to do so now.
Yep, let me go ahead and swear you in as well. Yep. Do you hereby declare and affirm that under the penalties of perjury that the testimony you're about to give will be the truth and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
Okay, also, can you please state your name and address?
Alpesh Kumar Shambhubai Patel, 20951 Freedom Run Drive, Lexington Park, Maryland, 20653.
Okay, excellent, great, thank you. Please be seated.
Okay. So, sir, did the event take place? Are you guilty?
Yes, we do. Yes.
Okay. Would you read the facts into the record, sir?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I'll read the facts underlying this violation. On November 19th, 2021, at 6:21 in the evening, St. Mary's County Sheriff's Office Alcohol Enforcement Unit sent a Sheriff's Office cadet 20 years of age into Corner Liquors located at 46920 South Shangri-La Drive in Lexington Park, Maryland, with nothing in his possession other than $40 of buy money. Once inside, the cadet retrieved two 12-ounce cans of Monaco Blue Crush cocktail and one 50-milliliter bottle of Crown Royal Apple whiskey and proceeded to the checkout counter. The cadet placed the alcoholic beverages on the counter for purchase, where the clerk, later identified as Mr. Ankit Babulal Patel, proceeded with the sale. Mr. Patel failed to ask the cadet for any identification for proof of age. The cadet completed the purchase of the alcoholic beverages and exited the licensed premises with the alcoholic beverages. The cadet thereafter made contact with Corporal Andrew Holton, Corporal Patrick Handy, and Sergeant Stephen Myers, all members of the Alcohol Enforcement Unit, outside the licensed premises. The cadet described the sale of the alcoholic beverages to the unit members and advised that the clerk did not ask for any identification. Thereafter, Corporal Handy and Sergeant Myers entered the licensed premises, identified themselves, and informed Mr. Patel, the clerk, that he had sold alcoholic beverages to an underage sheriff's cadet without asking for identification. Mr. Patel could not provide an explanation for why he did not ask for identification. Photographs of the alcoholic beverages were taken by members of the unit. The beverages were poured out and the bottles disposed of. And all of this occurred in St. Mary's County, Maryland.
Thank you, Mr. Beaver.
You're welcome.
So before we move into the penalty phase, anybody have any questions?
Do we have any violations within the last 3 years, Tammy?
No, sir.
No? Thank you.
Okay.
Mr. Patel, when was the last time, as a licensee, you had completed the RAST training?
RAST training, he didn't take the RAST training, but we have a TAM certified, but just January 18, we got expired date, but he's in India that time, so he just came back recently. So we are getting scheduled to get that train TAM certified.
Okay.
But all other employees are certified there.
Okay, excellent.
Mr. Watts, just when Mr. Patel got this license, there was no RAST training, so it wasn't required by licensees at the time.
At that time, okay, excellent.
When was that license issued, Tammy? Do you know?
2006.
2000?
Quite a while ago.
And 3?
Six.
Okay.
The reason why I ask is just that maybe part of my motion. Had Ankit Patel, the employee who created the violation, had he been adequately trained in the sale of
He
alcohol?
just recently hired their time, and then I think October, and we did give them the basic training at that time, but still, he made a mistake, so.
Okay. Was there any other, I guess, was he still under a supervisory or I guess a probationary type period? You said he was recently hired and, and put in this position to sell alcohol. Was he under a probationary type of period where he's being observed?
Is a well-trained, the other guy was, stay with them. He was, watching him, but it was a time period, was like, three work customers same time. So he's doing it by himself the other side, and a trained guy was doing the other side, and that's what happened, and a mistake over there.
Okay. Is the employee still employed with the
Yeah.
license?
Right now, yeah, and we are going to get a more training to him with, temp certified and all those things. But he's now well trained, so he'll be, okay with that. But we still in supervision with under my supervision, he's gonna work on that.
Okay.
Okay.
Go ahead, Mr. Cole.
My question, okay, if you can tell me, who is the licensee? That's you. Who's the employee?
He's in the gallery.
I'm sorry?
He's in the gallery.
He's in the gallery? Okay.
We haven't called him up yet.
My level, and you then are the manager for?
Yeah, manage for him.
Okay, all right, understand, okay. I'm getting my Patels mixed up.
There's more to come. Maybe I can short circuit a couple of questions. Mr. Patel, since this happened, have you instituted a policy at Corner Liquors with regards to 100% ID checks?
Yes, sir.
And what
we
is?
do. Even in fact, we do have a sign on the door that have your ID ready to purchase alcohol. That's what we have a sign already on door. So even no matter how old are they, have your ID ready for purchase alcohol.
Was that in place when the violation occurred? Or did you put it up after the violation?
It was on the side, but now we put it in a door.
Okay. Okay, so before, it wasn't right in your face as you walk in?
It was not
Okay.
there. It was on the other side, but now we put it in on the door, so anybody can come in. They can see, check ID was ready for that.
Okay, very good.
Yeah.
And the one other thing, I'm happy to pass these up. I have a
mystery shopper thing, we always pass on the mystery shopper. They comes in for the check ID thing.
I just have some of the cards and the letters showing passing the mystery shopper test programs over the years, just to show that, this was an isolated incident. They're not trying to minimize it, but I think they have a track record of compliance with the alcohol laws of this county and the state, and they've taken the additional steps since this happened to put the sign up and require the 100% ID check. And this was a relatively new employee. The board is, I think, well aware of the, again, not to make excuses, but the complications with COVID and some of the issues that entailed with getting folks TIPS and TAMs certified. But I think they are clearly making the effort to ensure that this does not happen again.
No, I appreciate that. That was actually going to be one of my questions, is what processes and procedures are you putting in place to try to rectify that, to include, it sounds like you've moved some signage around, and part of the reason I was asking about the probationary period of the employee is there going to be, additional, training and supervision of the employee in the coming, months, coming period, to ensure that, again, he gets that adequate training and supervision.
Yes.
When was Ankit Patel hired?
In October 23rd. 3rd. October 23.
October 20.
2021.
October 21,
Yeah.
right? Okay,
So you've been basically employed there about a month.
right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Richard, any questions? Anybody else? Barbara? No questions.
What do we have as far as RAS training now for all of them, Tammy?
We've got a class next Wednesday. We're having trainings every 2 weeks, so if
Okay.
next Wednesday doesn't work, I think we've got one for A's. Do we have one for A's after the 16th? Yeah,
Okay, for both
classes coming up.
the licensee and the employee, correct?
Can't do
You
that
have
for the
no
employee.
jurisdiction over making the employee come to RAS. That's up to the employer.
So we do have a class coming up within 90 days.
Absolutely.
Okay. All right. I guess I'd like to go ahead and make a motion.
Go ahead.
So I appreciate you guys coming in and talking with us today. So based on the facts that were presented and your testimony, and I'd like to make a motion. This is pertaining to Shambai. My apologies if I butchered your name, Patel, for violation of the sale of alcoholic beverages to a person under the age of 21 in violation of 6-304 of the Alcohol Beverages Article of the Annotated Code of Maryland, 5.04J of the Rules and Regulations of the Alcohol Beverage Board of St. Mary's County, for a fine of $1,000, $750 to be held in abeyance, pending no further violations. Payment to be made within 10 days. Licensee will also complete RAS training within the next 90 days.
Okay, we have a motion. Do we have a second?
That should be consistent with my previous.
I'll second that.
Go ahead.
I'll second that.
Discussion?
Again, I'll just add to the discussion, I do appreciate the diligence, the due diligence that you're taking to try to rectify the situation, which is part of the reason why I'm being a little lenient in the penalty, because you are taking efforts to try to rectify this. So I do appreciate that, and I think you understand the severity.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay. That's all my discussion.
Okay. No other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
And I oppose.
I'm opposed.
Okay. The ayes have it. Member Shin, Watts, and Hill are yes. Got it, Susie? Okay. So the penalty is $250 to be paid within 10 days to the Alcohol Beverage Board office. You know, do you guys know where that is?
Yeah.
Okay. Tammy, you have anything else?
How much is it?
250. And nobody, and you guys, okay. No RAS training.
No RAS?
No, yes, I did request RAS training.
It wasn't part of the motion.
Yes, it was.
Was it? Okay.
Yes, sir.
I missed it, sorry. Okay,
And RAST, correct?
okay. Within how many days?
90.
90 days,
Okay,
huh?
I'm sorry.
Along with 750 being held in advance.
Pay it.
Yes, so the penalty is $1,000.
$1,000.
Right, that's the penalty. 750 is held in abeyance. So
For 3
basically, you're going
years.
for 3 years, right? So you're going to pay $250 in 10 days, provided we don't see you back here again for another violation within the next 3 years. That's all you'll pay is the $250. If we see your licensee again, and then the rest will be.
I'll go over it with them as well after the
Okay.
hearing.
Excellent.
And is it RAST also?
Yes, yes.
Because if they violate now within 3 years, then they've got $750 that's due on this violation and
Plus the new-
whatever we impose on the second one, okay?
Correct.
All right? Can you explain all that to them?
Absolutely.
Okay, thank you
And
very
Mr.
much.
Chairman, if I may, if anyone wishing to appeal the board's decision has 30 days to do so with the Circuit Court of St. Mary's County.
Thank you. You're excused. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
I don't know if Dave just wants to stay there.
That's what I'll be.
Yeah.
Just hoping to get some of my steps in, but.
Okay.
Okay.
Now, Mr. Chairman, we have the employee.
Yes.
Correct? Yes, okay, thank you, sir.
Keet Patel. The above individual, Keet Patel, was an employee of a license holder and sold or provided alcoholic beverages to an individual under the age of 21 years of age in violation of 28-2802B of the alcohol beverage article of the Annotated Code of Maryland. Please be sworn in.
Do you hereby declare and affirm under the penalties of perjury that the testimony you are about to give will be the truth and nothing but the truth? Okay, please state your name and your home address for the record.
Can you state your name and address for the record, please?
Yes, my name is Ankit Patel. My residence is 21697 Great Mill Lane, Lexington Park.
Okay, thank you. So did you in fact do this and sell alcohol to an underage individual?
Yes, sir.
Yes, you're guilty. Okay.
Yeah, guilty.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'll read the facts into the record underlying this violation. On November 19th, 2021, at approximately 6:21 p.m., the St. Mary's County Sheriff's Office Alcohol Enforcement Unit sent a Sheriff's Office cadet, 20 years of age, into Corner Liquors located at 46920 South Shangri-La Drive in Lexington Park, Maryland, with nothing in his possession other than $40 in buy money. Once inside, the cadet retrieved two 12-ounce cans of Monaco Blue Crush cocktail and one 50-milliliter bottle of Crown Royal Apple whiskey and proceeded to the checkout counter. The cadet placed the alcoholic beverages on the counter for purchase, where the clerk, later identified as Mr. Ankit Patel, proceeded with the sale. Mr. Patel failed to ask the cadet for any identification for proof of age. The cadet completed the purchase of the alcoholic beverages and exited the licensed premises with the alcoholic beverages. I've done that twice. The cadet thereafter made contact with Corporal Andrew Holton, Corporal Patrick Handy, and Sergeant Stephen Myers, members of the Alcoholic Enforcement Unit, outside the licensed premises. The cadet described the sale of the alcoholic beverages to the unit members and advised that the clerk did not ask for any identification. Thereafter, Corporal Handy and Sergeant Myers entered the licensed premises, identified themselves, and informed Mr. Patel that he had sold alcoholic beverages to an underage Sheriff's Office cadet without asking for any identification. Mr. Patel could not provide an explanation for why he did not ask for identification. Photographs of the alcoholic beverages were taken by the members of the unit. Then the beverages were poured out and the bottles disposed of. All of this occurred in St. Mary's County, Maryland.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Mr. Patel, so as the facts were just read in, it stated that you did not have an explanation to the officer as to why the violation occurred. Do you have an explanation that you'd like to maybe share with us today?
Do you have an explanation? Do you have an explanation as to why would you like to share with the board? Okay. So explain to them why what happened.
So I'm busy.
I'm sorry, can you repeat that again, please?
So my mistake, I'm busy work. So I'm a guilty feeling.
Okay.
So you're saying you got busy and failed to do that? Okay. Has your employer provided you the requisite training to
Yes.
check IDs and what to look for?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
I'm all the customer ID check, but this time is busy and this is my new job, October 23.
Okay.
Yeah.
So my only concern, Mr. Patel, is that, I mean, in retail, things get busy. I mean, that's the nature of the business. But, we still have an obligation to to ensure that the laws are abided by and, for the safety of the community. What do you envision? So your employer just spoke that you're still employed. Can I confirm that? Are you still employed with the current employer?
You're still employed you still work at Corner Liquors, correct?
Yeah.
Okay, and so you're going to continue to sell alcohol in the future for your employer?
Okay.
Yes, okay. So then to tail on, then my question was, again, you're going to get busy. What are you going to do to make sure that you have a 100% compliance check?
Okay.
Do you have any thoughts on how you're going to maybe change your own personal process to ensure that when you do get busy, that you can still check IDs?
So what are you doing now to make sure this doesn't happen again? What are you doing differently is the question.
His line is busy, two line is busy, so I'm fast counting and is cash, so I'm a mistake too. No ID check this time.
Do you now make sure you check everyone's ID?
Yes,
Even,
everyone
no
ID.
matter how busy it gets?
Yeah.
You make sure you're checking?
Yeah, check ID, but this time is almost busy this time.
Every person that
Every
comes in?
person time, ID check.
Okay.
Do you, Mr. Patel, do you work there during your shift when you're there? Are you there by yourself, or is there a manager also in the store?
No, my job is 3 o'clock noon going, 11 o'clock is closing.
Okay, but I mean,
Employee.
is there anyone else in the store?
When you're working there, is there anybody there with you? Is what Mr.
Yes, correct. Or are you by yourself?
Is anyone else working in the store with you when you're there?
Yeah.
There is another employee or
Another
manager?
employee, another employee is coming, yeah.
Okay.
It's probably more of a question for the employer than the employee, but I mean, will there always be two people to?
I'm not unfortunately qualified to.
No, I understand. So I guess what I'm getting at is I'm concerned this might happen again.
Mm-hmm.
I certainly understand those concerns. I think with the employer, especially being required to take the RAST class within 90 days, I certainly will advise them to have this employee and all employees attend that and make sure they attend those. Obviously the cost goes up for each one of these from here, and ultimately it puts you out of business.
Yes.
And I think they understand that, but I will certainly impress that upon them again, that this simply can't happen if they hope to stay in business. And it's not good for their business. More importantly, it's not good for the safety of the community, and that they need to take that obligation very seriously. So I know they're back there listening, but I will impress upon that again upon them. So
Yes. All right. Thank you. I do appreciate your assistance with that.
I think perhaps some kind of probationary period where there's
Can't for the licensing.
no?
Can't do that. So let's focus on do we have any other questions? We're getting ready to move into a penalty phase.
No.
I didn't have any other further questions.
Okay. Do we have a motion for a penalty?
I can make a motion.
Please do so, Mr. Watts.
You're so good at it.
All right. So based on the facts that were presented and your testimony, I appreciate you providing the testimony. So this is as pertaining to Ankit Patel for violation of selling and providing alcohol beverages to an individual under the age of 21 in violation of 28 TAC 2802B of the Alcohol Beverage Article of the Annotated Code of Maryland. I hereby fine you $100 to be paid within 10 days.
Okay, we have a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second that.
We have a second. Do we have a discussion? No discussion? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? We're unanimous? Okay. Mr. Patel, you have 10 days to pay the fine. You may within 30 days from today appeal the decision to the Court of St. Mary's County. Okay?
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
And you pay
Good
the
luck.
fine at the Alcohol Beverage Board office.
I'll let,
Okay?
Dave will call.
Thank you.
Should I stay seated or should I?
Okay. Cook's Liquors. This is Vijay Patel. Sale of alcoholic beverages to a person under the age of 21 in violation of 6-304 of the Alcohol Beverage Article of the Annotated Code of Maryland and 5.04J of the Rules and Regulations of the Alcohol Beverage Board of St. Mary's County. Please swear him in.
Do you hereby declare and affirm under the penalties of perjury that the testimony you are about to give will be the truth and nothing but the truth? Okay, please state your name and home address for the record.
My name is Vijay Patel, 2095 Freedom Run, Lexington Park, MD.
Thank you.
You can be seated, Vijay.
So did this event actually take place?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Beaver.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, thank you. I'll read the facts underlying this violation into the record. On December 8th, 2021, at 5:30 p.m., St. Mary's County Sheriff's Office Alcohol Enforcement Unit sent Sheriff's Office Cadet, 20 years of age, into Cook's Liquors, located at 25765 Three Notch Road in Hollywood, Maryland, with nothing in his possession other than $29 of buy money. Once inside, the cadet retrieved one 24-ounce can of Coors Light beer and one 50-milliliter bottle of Crown Royal whiskey and proceeded to the checkout counter. The cadet placed the alcoholic beverages on the counter for purchase where the clerk, later identified as Ms. Varshangi Patel, proceeded with the sale. The cadet advised Ms. Patel that he did not have any identification. The cadet completed the purchase of the alcoholic beverages and exited the licensed premises with the alcoholic beverages. The cadet thereafter made contact with Corporal Patrick Handy and Sergeant Stephen Myers of the Alcohol Enforcement Unit outside the licensed premises. The cadet described the sale of the alcoholic beverages to the unit members and advised that the clerk did not ask for any identification. Thereafter, Corporal Handy and Sergeant Myers entered the licensed premises, identified themselves, and informed Ms. Patel that she had sold alcoholic beverages to an underage sheriff's office cadet without asking for any identification. Ms. Patel admitted to making the sale of the alcoholic beverages without asking for identification. Photographs were taken of the beverages, and they were then poured out and the bottles disposed of. All of this occurred in St. Mary's County, Maryland.
Okay, thank you, sir.
You're welcome.
Any members have any questions?
So, Mr. Patel, my similar questions. What training did you provide to your employee?
Well, I was short staffed at that time, so I trained her a little bit on the sites to check ID and stuff there, but I was short staffed, so between that time, this mistake happened.
Okay, so was this a newer employee, it sounds
Yeah.
like? Okay, how long had they been employed with you?
She's not actually employed there, but she was just filling in for me meantime because I was short staffed.
Okay, so the person who created the violation was not an employee of your organization?
Yes, sir. She's my niece.
Okay. That's concerning.
Tammy.
What, have you changed your processes and procedures to, again, I mean, sometimes we get short-staffed. I understand it's challenging finding employees to work these days. So, I anticipate you're going to have other instances in the future of being short-staffed and being, being busy. What are you doing differently as a licensee to ensure 100% compliance?
Well, to that, I'm hiring one extra employees, that way in case if somebody shows and split the hours between the extra employees, in case somebody calls out or doesn't show up, then I could have that training employees to cover that shift, so I don't have to have somebody not trained employee working there.
Okay. Do you have any sort of signage on the door or even on the counter at the point of sale?
Yes, we do.
You do, okay.
I don't have much window at the stores. It's only windows I have, the main doors.
Sure. But do you at least have some sort of signage
Yes,
at
we
the, at the point of sale, right?
We do.
That not only serves as, a reminder to your employees, but also to your patrons as well,
Yep.
right? Okay, and you have that now?
Yes, sir.
All right.
Any other questions?
When have they had RAS training or were they similar situation where?
Similar situation.
Okay.
I don't think you've been to RAST, have you, VJ?
Yes.
You have?
Yeah.
Do we have VJ? It's a while, I think, right?
Has it been a minute? Okay. He's going again, in my motion anyway. Okay.
And also, if I may, you've
Yeah,
also
please.
instituted 100%
Yes.
ID checks as well.
Okay.
I have two questions.
Carry on, please.
Okay, I have two questions. One question to you is I guess your niece. How old was your niece?
She's 20.
She's 20. Second question, maybe to Tammy. Is there a violation within the last 3 years?
No.
Okay.
Okay. Any other questions? Mr. Cole?
No, I have none.
Okay. So we'll move into penalty phase. Do we have a motion for a penalty?
Yeah. There's a couple, so again, before I make that, well, I'll say, based on the facts that were read in, the testimony you gave, there was definitely some concerning things in your testimony, all right? The fact that you had your niece, not an employee of your company, also under the age of 21, selling alcohol. So I guess as pertaining to the licensee, Jacques Kimura, again, I apologize profusely if I butchered your name, Patel of Cook's Liquors, for the violation of the sale of alcohol beverages under the age of 21 in violation of 6-304 of the Alcohol Beverages Article of the Annotated Code of Maryland and 5-04J of the Rules and Regulations of the Alcohol Beverage Board of St. Mary's County. I make the motion for a fine of $1,000, $250 to be held in abeyance, pending no further violations. Payment to be made within 10 days. RAST training to be completed within 90.
Okay, we have a motion.
So the fine is 250, is that correct?
No, the fine is $750 to be paid
750,
today.
yes, okay, thank you.
It's $1,000, and I'm only holding $250 in abeyance.
Yes, okay, thank you.
It's because, and well, I'll make that motion. In the comments or discussion, I'll explain my rationale.
Mr. Chairman, I'll second that motion.
Okay, we have a second. Okay, discussion. I'm going to sit there and say that, again, like I said before, we have a matrix. This is an individual has not had a violation in 3 years, and the general guidelines is actually 500 for a first offense.
I thought it was 1,000 for the licensee.
It's normally in the end, it's 1,500 in advance, $500 being the fine. Am I correct? Isn't that the?
That is the guidelines that you have there.
Right. So those are the general guidelines. So, like to know why we are proposing 750, which is above the guidelines. Why is this offense any more egregious than another one where people are having problems with training and stuff?
So I feel like this one was some other violations that have come before us, have had training in place, have had the processes and procedures in place. I feel like this licensee allowed the processes and the procedures to break down and pulled in not just another employee, but someone who was not even employed by the store, setting himself up for all kinds of potential liability, and then giving them minimal training at best, right? I mean, we can't, if they weren't even an employee, so what kind of record of training is there other than just, a mere mention of, hey, check IDs? So I feel like it was a bit more of an egregious violation of the rules. And so I felt it warranted a higher penalty than I've given, or at least that I've made motions of in the past. So that's my
Mr. Chairman, in my second of his motion was that concern that it was a non-employee that violated in this situation.
Okay.
That was why I seconded his motion. I agree and concur with his motion.
Okay, we have a first, we have a second. We've had discussion. Any other discussion? Nothing? Okay, let's take a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Mr. Sheen didn't vote.
Yeah, I'm still processing.
I'm sorry.
So I'm just trying to be consistent here with the precedence that's been set, and I completely agree with Mr. Watts here with regards to this offense being a little more egregious because of the scenario of not employing, but using your family member, if you will. So I'm trying to get things straight in my head. First offense, I thought the maximum penalty was $1,000.
It is.
But you're saying that the metrics that we've used in the past for first offense with no violation in 3 years has been $500? Did I hear that correct?
Tammy's
Let me
Okay.
explain. The max penalty is $1,000 by law. The matrix, what they're talking about is suggests for the
Right.
first offense to put 500 in abeyance.
Okay.
So they would only pay the full 1,000 should they violate again in 3 years. They would pay
Okay.
the difference.
So what you proposed was 250 was 750.
It was a $1,000 fine with
$1,000 fine,
$250
okay.
held in abeyance. So they'd
Right.
basically be paying $750.
Right. So
Which the chairman's concern is that's $250 above
Right.
what the matrix is, which again, the matrix is a guideline.
Right.
It's not,
Right.
it's a,
So in my opinion, I guess I would oppose it because, on the record, because to be consistent with the previous penalties, if you will, where this one has elevated to a little more egregiousness due to utilization of the minor niece here, so I oppose from that standpoint.
That's fair.
So it's, you vote nay.
Nay.
So
How many?
2 up,
3 to 2.
3-2.
3 to 2, motion passes.
Yes. Okay. So, Mr. Patel, you have 10 days to pay the fine, which is $750. You may, within 30 days from today, appeal the decision to the Circuit Court of St. Mary's County. Do you have any questions, sir? And you also have the RAS training.
Within 90 days, correct?
Yes, within 90 days. Understand? Okay. Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir.
I'm going to mess this up. I apologize. Vashagi Patel.
Well, you couldn't have messed up too badly.
Right. The above individual, Vashagi Patel, was an employee of a license holder and sold or provided alcoholic beverages. Actually, in this case, was not a employee. And sold or provided alcoholic beverages to an individual under the age of 21 in violation of 28-2802B of the Alcohol Beverage Article of the Annotated Code of Maryland. Please be sworn in.
Do you hereby declare and affirm under the penalties of perjury that the testimony you are about to give will be the truth and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Okay, please state your name and address for the record.
Varshangi Patel, living address is 20951 Freedom Run Drive, Lexington Park, Maryland, 20653.
Thank you.
Please be seated.
So did these events happen? Did you, in fact, sell to a minor?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Beaver?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The facts underlying this violation are as follows. On December 8th, 2021, at approximately 5:30 p.m., St. Mary's County Sheriff's Office Alcohol Enforcement Unit sent a Sheriff's Office cadet, 20 years of age, into Cook's Liquors located at 25765 Three Notch Road in Hollywood, Maryland, with nothing in his possession other than $29 of buy money. Once inside, the cadet retrieved one 24-ounce can of Coors Light beer and one 50-milliliter bottle of Crown Royal whiskey and proceeded to the checkout counter. The cadet placed the alcoholic beverages on the counter for purchase, where the clerk, later identified as Miss Varshangi Patel, proceeded with the sale. The cadet advised Ms. Patel that he did not have any identification when asked. The cadet completed the purchase of the alcoholic beverages and exited the licensed premises with the alcoholic beverages. The cadet thereafter made contact with Corporal Patrick Handy and Sergeant Stephen Myers of the Alcohol Enforcement Unit outside the premises. The cadet described the sale of the beverages to the unit members and advised that the clerk did not ask for any identification. Thereafter, Corporal Handy and Sergeant Myers entered the licensed premises, identified themselves, and informed Ms. Patel that she had sold alcoholic beverages to an underage Sheriff's Office cadet without asking for any identification. Ms. Patel admitted that she had made the sale of the alcoholic beverages without asking for ID. Photographs of the beverages were taken by the unit members, the beverages were poured out, and the bottles disposed of. All of this occurred in St. Mary's County, Maryland.
Thank you, Mr. Beaver.
You're welcome.
Board members, any questions?
Ms. Patel, what sort of training were you given before you were placed in the position to sell alcohol?
What type of training did you receive
It was
before?
just the basic training.
No training.
Checking IDs, asking if I can see their ID.
Okay. Were you shown an ID and what to look for? Okay.
Could you speak into the microphone, please, if we can?
Yes, sir.
How much training would you say you had received? Minutes, hours, days?
Hours.
Hours?
Sometimes it was like a day,
Okay. It was a full day?
full day.
Okay. So are you employed
No.
by Cook? Okay. So what caused you to be placed in this position this particular day?
I was just helping out at the time. We were short-staffed, so just helped out, stepped in for a little bit.
Okay. Were you already on site, or were you called in?
I was already on site.
You're already on site. Okay. And so you said you'd received hours of training. What point did this? Had you ever been asked to serve alcohol or to work the point of sale station before and sell alcohol?
No, this was the first time.
This was the first time. Okay. So at what point did you receive the hours of training?
When I first started, like when I was helping out.
Okay. That day?
Yes.
Okay.
Ms. Patel, were you the only one in the store, or was there supervision?
I wasn't the only one in the store.
There were other people in the store? Is that correct? Yes. Okay, thank you.
Mr. Myers, did you wanted to say something? Okay. Any other questions?
You said there was other employee in the store
Yes.
that was of age to run the register to sell the liquor?
Yes.
So in your mind, did you realize 20, I'm not allowed to do this, why am I doing this?
No,
Wait a minute. My apologies, but for a liquor store, you can be 18.
Oh,
Yes.
you don't have to
21
be
is for
21 to sell?
bartender.
Only bar.
Okay,
Sorry.
my correction, I'm sorry. So. I wasn't
So,
aware.
Tammy, 18 to sell spirits? Is that?
Closed container.
Huh?
Closed container.
Closed container?
The liquor store can hire 18-year-olds, yes.
Okay, so the 21 would apply only to bars, is that correct? Where you're mixing drinks?
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Not aware of
Thank you, I didn't know that. Yeah,
I did not do that.
yeah, right.
So, okay. That makes a little bit of difference.
So, Ms. Patel, I guess my next question is was this the first transaction that had occurred that day where you'd sold alcohol?
Yes.
It was okay.
No, actually, it was the second.
Okay. What, careful my questioning, why did you fail to check this particular individual's ID?
I was going to ask, it didn't come in my mind. He came in, he knew what he was, it looked like he was a regular customer. He knew what he was getting. I was going to ask, I just didn't come to my mind. But it was my fault that I didn't ask, so
Okay.
I'm wrong on that side.
Okay, it just didn't come to mind, even though you had just apparently received that day hours of training to do this.
Yeah, it just went over my head. And I do apologize for that, because that was my fault.
Okay.
Ms. Patel, did you feel like you were just doing your uncle a favor by working the register and selling the alcohol because he was short-staffed or for whatever reason?
I was just helping out, like, yeah.
Yeah? I see.
Are you currently employed?
No,
You're not currently employed at all? Okay, nowhere, not just with,
I'm a college student.
you're a law student?
College.
College student, okay. Okay.
Richard?
No question.
No questions? No other questions?
No.
Okay. Moving the penalty phase.
Okay.
Any motions?
Yeah, I'll make a motion. I know how challenging it can be to be a college student, and leading into this motion, based on your testimony, the facts that were presented, I feel bad for you because I feel like you were set up to fail. So I tend to be a little more lenient in that case. But based on those facts, your testimony, I appreciate you coming in and testifying today as pertaining to Varshingi Patel for violation of selling and providing alcohol beverages to an individual under the age of 21 in violation of 28 TAC 2802B of the Alcohol Beverage Article of Annotated Code of Maryland. I make a motion to fine $25 to be paid within the next 10 days. You might want to get your uncle to pay it for you.
Okay, we have a motion for $25.
I will second that motion.
We have a second.
How much was it?
25. Discussion?
Again, just, sorry, go ahead, Richard. I'll go after.
Thank you.
Okay. I would oppose that just to be consistent with the previous situation, which also was set up to fail, that, if I recall right, that was fine was $50,
Sir.
Yes.
right? So just being fair and consistent, that would be I would oppose for that reason.
It's fine. I'll amend my motion. Can I amend my motion?
Can he amend his motion?
Yeah. It has,
You want me to
well, has it been seconded?
It has been seconded.
Yes.
Okay. You can still amend it at this point. You can amend it.
Okay. Let me read the whole thing again for clarity. I will.
Yes, please. That would be good.
So based on the, again, the facts that were presented in your testimony, as it pertains to Varshingi Patel, for the violation of having sold and provided alcohol beverages to an individual under the age of 21 years in violation of 28 TAC 2802 Bravo of the Alcoholic Beverages Article of the Annotated Code of Maryland, I make the motion to fine you $50. Again, I still recommend your uncle pay that.
Okay,
And I'll second that.
we have a first.
No,
It was already,
second, this was an amendment.
this is an amendment to it.
Just need to vote on it.
Okay,
Just need to
just-
vote on it.
Okay.
Mr. Cole have to,
Mr. Cole can second the amendment if
Do
you
I
like.
need to rescind my second?
No,
No? Okay.
to just second it.
just second it.
Just second.
You do need to second it.
I'm sorry?
Just
Be
second.
good with the increase.
I will second that. Yes, okay.
very good.
Okay.
Any further discussion?
Yeah, so again, I agree with Richard in
Yes.
being consistent. I do like to be consistent, but also at the same time, I do like to be lenient. Lenient in when extenuating circumstances drive their leniency to be, and I feel like that was the case here. Okay, I like I said, I feel bad for you because I feel like you got set up to fail. So, so good luck, and hopefully you.
Well, you got to vote.
Well,
Let me run the meeting.
You got to call for the vote.
Wait.
Let me run the meeting. Okay, so we need a vote. All in favor of the motion to make the penalty $50?
Aye.
Aye.
Unanimous. Okay, very good.
My apologies. I wasn't trying to bypass the vote. I was.
Okay, you have 10 days to pay the fine of $50. You may, within 30 days from this today, to appeal it to the Circuit Court, St. Mary's County. The fine's paid at the Alcohol Beverage Board office. Okay? Any questions?
No, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Appeal it just so Mr. Beaver has to explain that motion to Circuit Court Judge.
And I'll send my bill to you, Mr. Weig.
Thank you all very much.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate the assistance.
Nice to see you in person, Dave.
Thanks, Dave.
Don't hire your niece.
Okay,
Don't put her in that position.
I know that sell at 18.
Cook Liquors and Groceries, licensee Diane Cook and Taylor Cook and Mason Cook. Sale of alcoholic beverages to a person under the age of 21 in violation of 6-304 of the Alcohol Beverage Article of the Annotated Code of Maryland and 5.04J of the Rules and Regulations of the Alcohol Beverage Board of St. Mary's County. Please swear him in.
Yes, sir. Do you hereby declare and affirm under the penalties of perjury that the testimony you are about to give will be the truth and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Okay, if you could both state your name and home address for record.
Diane Cook, 45251 Elmbrook Drive, California, Maryland, 20619.
Taylor Cook, 25777 Whiskey Creek Road, Hollywood, Maryland, 20636.
Okay, please have a seat.
And I have a letter from the third licensee, Mr. Mason Cook. He's on a ship, so he gives Diane Cook permission to speak on his behalf.
Okay. Did the sale take place?
Yes.
Okay, very good. Thank you. Mr. Beaver?
Yes, Mr. Chairman. So the facts underlying this violation are as follows. On January 14th, 2022, at 7:28 p.m., St. Mary's County Sheriff's Office Alcohol Enforcement Unit sent in an officer's cadet, 20 years of age, into Cook's Liquors and Groceries located at 18400 Point Lookout Road in Park Hall, Maryland, with nothing in his possession other than $40 of buy money. Once inside, the cadet retrieved one 25-ounce can of Bud Light beer and proceeded to the checkout counter. The cadet placed the alcoholic beverage on the counter for purchase, where the clerk, later identified as Miss Rebecca Ann Quaid, proceeded with the sale. Ms. Quaid did not ask the cadet for any identification. The cadet completed the purchase of the alcoholic beverages and exited the licensed premise with the alcoholic beverage. The cadet thereafter made contact with Corporal Patrick Handy and Sergeant Robert Merritt, members of the Alcohol Enforcement Unit outside the licensed premises. The cadet described the sale of the alcoholic beverages to the unit members and advised that the clerk did not ask for any identification. Thereafter, Corporal Handy and Sergeant Merritt entered the licensed premises, identified themselves, and informed Ms. Quaid that she had sold alcoholic beverages to an underage sheriff's office cadet without asking for any identification. Ms. Quaid admitted to making the sale of the alcoholic beverages without asking for ID. Photographs of the beverage was taken and the contents emptied out and the can disposed of. All of this occurred in St. Mary's County, Maryland.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Questions?
Previous violations, Tammy?
Not in the last 3 years, no, sir.
Not in the last 3, huh?
And just for the board's information, Ms. Diane Cook did come into RAS training just in the last month. And I believe, Taylor, you're signed up for next Wednesday, correct?
Yes.
Just so you know.
So they've attended RAS training post-violation already?
Right, he will, he's already signed up, but Diane
Right.
has
Well, but
already.
Diane's already completed it. Okay,
And I was signed up before this happened.
sure.
Yes, she was.
No worries. I guess, can you explain the circumstances around which it happened? Were either of you as the licensees present at the time?
No, I had left like a half hour before.
Okay. What, I guess, what sort of training had you provided the employee?
They're all told we have 100% carding. We've got 2 that are state certified. Is that what I call them, state certified? She actually was certified, but her certification lapsed.
Okay.
She's only been working, she was rehired. She worked 2 years ago for us. She was rehired in July.
Okay. So you, so when she was rehired in July, what steps did you take to, I guess, reiterate your policy?
Hard.
I'm sorry?
Everybody. That we ID everybody.
Okay. And you had that conversation upon rehire?
Yes, and she actually worked for another retail, or prior to coming back with us.
Okay. And which alcohol was sold at that other retail?
Right.
Okay. Have you made any changes to, I guess, to your policies and procedures to?
Then just constantly tell them they need a card. We do have signs. We've always had signs inside and outside the store.
Okay. And you have signage also up at the point of sale?
Yes.
Okay. Okay.
Ms. Cook, do you have any kind of signage of no ID, no sale posted?
I'm not so sure we have something that,
Both on the counter. It used to be at least.
I'm not so
I don't
sure we
know.
have one that says exactly that.
I'm sorry?
I don't know. I don't think.
You
we
don't
have
know?
something that says no ID.
I think it says it on the counter.
Okay.
Please speak into the microphone. Thank you.
Sorry. I'm pretty sure there's on the counter, there used to be at least,
No ID,
a
no
red,
sale.
a red and white, or red and yellow sign that says no ID, no sale. If it's not there, it's up on the top, unless they changed it.
I don't know.
I'm not positive. I wouldn't hold.
But
them
we do
accountable.
have that we card anybody over 25. I mean, under 25. But we do have a 100% ID check.
Is it on the back of the register?
I had no further questions, Mr. Chairman.
I'm kind of confused because I thought I just heard two things. I thought I heard 100% ID check, and I thought I heard check people's IDs under 25.
Over.
Over 20.
Under 25. The sign we got from the alcohol board.
Okay, so the required postings that state you must be 21 to purchase alcohol.
Yes, okay.
But, so you don't do 100, but you don't have a policy of doing 100% ID check. So if somebody comes in, they look
Have a
like they're,
policy of 100% ID check, yes.
okay,
I think she was describing the signage.
okay, I was confused.
Was that in effect prior to the violation?
Yes.
It was, okay.
Nothing, Richard? Nothing? Okay. Moving to the penalty phase?
Okay.
Maybe I do. I don't
Carry on.
So it seems like a common theme where a lot of establishments, these mistakes come up. So do you have anything that you might want to put in place to avoid these type of mistakes, scenarios in the future? Maybe, not just for you guys, but this is really, as we examine these things, it looks like an ongoing issue. It's insanity is called. You do the same thing over and over and expect different results, right? That's called insanity. So what is it that, have you thought about, given a thought as to either your process or something that potentially will make it a little more foolproof to avoid these kind of incidents in the future?
Fundamentally, you're kind of getting what you pay for. If you're hiring a minimum wage employee, you can't really expect them to be perfect. I mean, someone with a professional degree isn't going to be reliable 100% of the time, let alone someone who's working at a store for minimum wage. Granted, that's not going to solve the problem, but fundamentally, it comes with the territory. It's a probably relatively low education, low training, and unfortunately, it's around a substance that is highly dangerous. So if you go even deeper, I mean, if you really wanted to teetotal and not sell alcohol to anyone, it'd probably solve a lot of problems and probably save a lot of lives, but that's just me. So I'm not sure outside of raising the training and the wage and expecting better employees to sell alcohol and maybe raising the requirements so this doesn't happen over and over and over again, maybe like acquire an associate's degree or even like a course or something other than a 3-hour class where you sit and listen or maybe zone out, I don't know. But it doesn't seem like there's an effective training regimen considering it happens continually, but that's just my personal opinion.
Well, I'm not sure if I quite agree with that. I disagree that these kind of violation is directly correlated to education or class levels, if you will. I've been a business owner myself, and I sort of understand where you're coming from. But it does come from leadership that makes a difference, and also the conscientiousness from the leadership, the owners, managers, along with people processing transactions. Perhaps maybe I was alluding to, and again, nothing's foolproof. I bought some alcohol out of this county somewhere, and they just implemented it. This was up at Nick's of Clinton, Nick's of Clinton, and they have a process now that, and I just noticed that, so when you buy, they have to take the license, and they have to actually type it in to actually execute the transaction, which is, again, nothing's foolproof, but there is some system or something process that makes you think about for the cashier to do something more than just, okay, get trained and do it. Maybe it's a manual process. Maybe they have to write down, okay, this person selling alcohol, write down at least the year and month of the birth date. I don't know. But maybe those are some considerations you guys ought to be thinking about, because if it's also money matters too, right? Let's assume the penalty to you guys is $100,000 per incidence. I'm sure you guys will think twice more about how to go about doing this business, right? So I don't know. So it's just wanted to keep you on your toes, think about it, and maybe even from our side, think about what are some of the processes that will help make this less violations in the future as a whole, Just
I agree.
enough said.
I mean, we
Yeah.
can keep telling
Yeah.
them constantly, you need to card, you need to card, and
Yeah, where I work, there's a saying goes, insanity is when you expect different result when doing the same thing over and over. Okay, so.
absolutely.
So I have to tag on here, and I apologize for belaying this, but Mr. Cook, I appreciate Richard's question because it kind of drew some things out, and I mean, I almost get a sense that you feel it's futile based on what you had said, right? That, okay, we're hiring, in your opinion and in your words, minimum wage employees. And so it was almost kind of, what can we expect? What can we do? Did I characterize that correctly?
I wouldn't say so. I'm not trying to knock. Education is not a necessity to be successful, and minimum wage employees are a result of a social construct that is failing across the board, and it's no more their fault than the system itself. And futility or futile is definitely not a word I've used, and it's definitely not something I'm agreeing with.
Okay.
I'd say it's not sufficient. As Mr. Shin has said, maybe respond rather than react when someone hands you an ID, rather than just scan it or not scan it or not take it. Maybe have like a step-by-step procedure. I'm not sure. I don't have any experience with liquor sales, to be honest. So there's got to be some better way, considering it's as you guys would say, the definition of insanity, case after case after case. And most of the time it's a 20-year-old cadet walking into the store who looks almost 21 rather than like say a 16-year-old or a 15-year-old, and like making sure the person's paying attention. It's just young enough to trick them. It's kind of like a speed trap. And in California, they've banned those. They're not allowed to do speed traps anymore. And to me, it's an underhanded way of trapping someone, a tired employee who's probably sleep deprived, probably poor nutrition, probably not a whole lot of cognitive skills surrounding other than just checking things out for 8 hours to 10 hours a day. And to me, it just doesn't make any sense to expect anything more than someone getting to an 8 to 9 hour shift. Like, how do you guys feel after the end of the day? Like, how much, I mean, it's just like your cognitive function declines as the day goes on.
So Mr. Cook, are you advocating that the law should not apply if you're tired or you're
I'm not advocating for that at all.
That's kind of what you just said, isn't it?
I'm pointing out that while it's not an excuse.
So I'm going to do you a favor, Mr. Cook, and just advise you to stop talking because you're not helping your case. In fact, it's making it worse.
I'm not sure what I said that was wrong.
So, and that's why we have 100% compliance check, right? Because it doesn't matter whether you look kind of 20 or 21. I can't tell the difference between a 20 and 21-year-old. Right? And so, you look extremely young to me, and the more gray hair I get, the younger everybody looks, right? So that's why it's 100% compliance check. Okay, and that's why, to Mr. Shen's, discussion about leadership, it takes leaders, and you have to lead, and you have to find innovative and creative ways to ensure things, but you have to buy into it. You have to believe in the law, and you have to believe that there's a reason for it, and you have to believe that 100% compliance checks work, and that's why we do it, and that's why we do these verifications and these checks to make sure that all of our licensees are in fact doing what they're supposed to be doing. So it's not a speed trap, it's not a trick, it's not anything. It's just making sure that the licensees are taking this seriously and taking a full-on responsibility. So So I'll leave it at that. I don't want to, I feel like I'm chastising, and I don't want to do that. But I do hope, I want to implore that you fully grasp and understand the severity of this and why we do it. Okay?
Absolutely. I don't disagree with the 100% check.
Okay. So I would encourage you guys to, based on what Mr. Shen said, right, be leaders. You know, be leaders in the community, be leaders in, you know, in the, you know, as far as, you know, training your employees, talk to other merchants and what they do, right? Talk to, you know, there's a whole alcohol coalition, right, right here in St. Mary's County that you can talk to and you can get advice. I mean, Tammy is an amazing administrator, and she would be happy to share with you guys some things. So be leaders, and you know, do what you need to do to train your employees. So with that, I'll stop. I apologize for my rant.
If I could just add, Mr. Cook, I wasn't trying to start the whole philosophical thing regarding this. The only thing I was trying to encourage, not for you, but maybe for any establishments, let's figure out, it is what it is. Systems, you know, you call it, no system's perfect, but it is what it is. It's the law, and we're trying to enforce the law. We're not trying to play games, right? So I'm just encouraging for your establishment, for your own good, while we have to operate, let's, you know, be thinking about outside the box, figure out how to avoid this situation in the future. That's all. That's what I was trying to stimulate. So,
I agree.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
Ms. Cook, where's the store located?
Park Hall, Maryland.
Park Hall Road?
Park Hall.
Park Hall, right? It's the old Captain Tom's whorehouse? Yeah, okay. My concern would be, as far as 100% compliance, as far as checking and everything else, the proximity to St. Mary's College, you know, and the underage drinking that goes on. You know, we can't assume that it doesn't go on, because I think we've all been there. And I think it really, really, for you all, 100% compliance there, really, it sets an example for those kids, you know, that are there. So,
Mr. Cook, who manages the store actually? You do? You're the one that's there on a daily basis?
I go in the evening. I have a day job. I go in there after
Okay.
work.
So my uncle passed away, how many years ago?
And
7 years ago, who was initially managing the store with my father, who's also deceased 3 years ago.
condolences.
And the only reason I mentioned saying yes to the Orr House was because my dad told me about it beforehand. I'm not trying to say like I was there or like had been there, just so you know.
So we have a day manager and a night
Right.
manager.
So
And then
anyway,
I go
the
in after
store
work.
was run by my father and my uncle, and they both passed, and we're trying to manage it as best we can. I'm a full-time USDA and a full-time grad student, and my sibling works in DC, and she's a full-time CPA, right?
A CPA.
Sorry.
So you don't manage the store?
No, I don't.
Okay. I was just trying to clarify the discussion about not knowing the alcohol business and being a licensee.
Or, yeah, trying to pass it.
Okay. Is that it?
I'm ready to make a motion.
Somebody?
So based on the facts that were read into record and your testimony, as it pertains to Diane Cook, Taylor Cook, and Mason Cook of Cook's Liquors and Groceries for violation of the sale of alcoholic beverage to a person under 21 years of age in violation of 6-304 of the Alcoholic Beverages Article and Annotated Code of Maryland, and 5.04J of the Rules and Regulations of the Alcohol Beverage Board of St. Mary's County. I make a motion that we fine $1,000, $500 to be held in abeyance, pending no further violations to be paid within 10 days. Completion of RAST training within the previous 90, or within the next 90 days, existing RAST or recent RAST training will count.
I think the only problem I might have is with Mr. Mason Cook because of his ship status. So,
Okay. Do we know when he's due to return? Is he active duty kind of ship, or is he on a
Merchant Marine.
merchant marine? Okay, so either way, he could be gone for
6 months.
a hot minute, right? Okay.
How about within so many days of his return or something like that?
Yeah.
90 days of
Yeah,
his
it's 90 day, within 90 days of, so
Sure.
for these two, 90 days, unless it's already been completed, and then Mr. Mason, Mr. Mason Cook within 90 days of his return
Okay, okay,
to shore.
thank you.
Yep, it's a long motion.
I'll second that.
Okay. We have a first, and we have a second. You got that? Okay. So let me clarify this. This is 90 days for Mr. Cook, Mason Cook. Within 90 days, him coming back, has to have RAST training.
Yes.
You've already had RAST training just recently?
Correct.
Okay. And it's $500.
Correct.
Okay. 500 in Badens. $1,000 fine, 500.
500
Okay.
Bates. Yes, sir.
Anything else? Any question? I mean, any discussion?
Did somebody second it?
Barbara.
Yes.
Barbara Hill.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. It's unanimous. So you have 10 days to pay the fine, which is $500. And you may, within 30 days from today, appeal the decision to the Circuit Court of St. Mary's County. Any questions? Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, employee Rebecca Ann Quaid. The above individual, Rebecca Ann Quaid, was an employee of a license holder and sold or provided alcoholic beverages to an individual under the age of 21 years in violation of 28-2802B of the alcohol beverage article of the Anacoda Code of Maryland. Swear.
Do you hereby declare and affirm that under the penalties of perjury that the testimony you are about to give will be the truth and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Please state your name and your address for the record.
Rebecca Ann Quaid, 18410 Point Lookout Road, Trailer B2 in Park Hall, Maryland, zip code 20667.
Okay, thank you. Please have a seat.
So Rebecca, did you in fact?
Yes, sir, I did.
Okay.
I plead guilty.
Okay. Mr. Beaver?
Yes, Mr. Chairman. Again, the facts underlying this violation are as follows. On January 14th, 2022, at 7:28 p.m., the St. Mary's County Sheriff's Office Alcohol Enforcement Unit sent a Sheriff's Office cadet, 20 years of age, into Cook's Liquors and Groceries located at 18400 Point Lookout Road in Park Hall, Maryland, with nothing in his possession other than $40 of buy money. Once inside, the cadet retrieved one 25-ounce can of Bud Light beer and proceeded to the checkout counter. The cadet placed the beverage on the counter for purchase, where the clerk, later identified as Miss Rebecca Ann Quaid, proceeded with the sale. Ms. Quaid did not ask the cadet for any identification. The cadet completed the purchase of the alcoholic beverage and exited the licensed premises with the alcoholic beverage. The cadet thereafter made contact with Corporal Patrick Handy and Sergeant Robert Merritt, members of the Alcohol Enforcement Unit, outside the licensed premises. The cadet described the sale of the beverage to the unit and advised that the clerk had not asked for identification. Thereafter, Corporal Handy and Sergeant Merritt entered the licensed premises, identified themselves, and informed Ms. Quaid that she had sold alcoholic beverages to an underage Sheriff's Office cadet without asking for any identification. Ms. Quaid admitted to making the sale without asking for ID. Photographs of the beverage were taken by members of the unit. The beverage was then poured out and disposed of. All of this occurred in St. Mary's County, Maryland.
Thank you, Mr. Beaver.
You're welcome.
Questions?
Yeah, Ms. Quaid, can you describe the circumstances and how this came to happen?
It was Friday night. We were working, and I had just worked my day job. We've been short-staffed at the time. 2 of our employees were out with COVID, so I've been working nonstop, and I'm not gonna lie to you, I work at St. Mary's County Public Schools. I'm a substitute teacher. I was substituting that day. I immediately left one job to come into Cook's to work. And I was tired. I was tired, a little overwhelmed from, working the day at the school. I was carting everybody, and it was just coming down to the last minute. We actually were standing right there by the big bay window that we have, and I proceeded to see a police officer pull into the trailer park where I live at, right behind the store, or right next to the store, however you want to call it. I found out that the police officer literally was going over to my house. My niece, who lives with me, her phone has the ping thing to it. If you shake it, it'll send a signal to the police department to check on you. She has epileptic seizures. My granddaughter got a hold of the phone, and she didn't know any better. She's 2 years old, and she shook the phone, and it sent an officer to my residence to check on my niece. I felt bad, and then at the same time, I see the cop going in. Somebody comes to tell me, hey, there's a cop at your house. Okay, what's going on? But at the same time, the gentleman also came in too and proceeded to have the beer in his hand, and I just rang it up and wasn't even thinking.
Okay.
And then the deputies came in and said, Ms. Quaid, you just sold to an underage child, or age of 20, and I was like, oh no. It was a complete and utter accident.
Yeah. So I can understand. It sounds like you had quite a few distractions. Were you alone in the store that day?
No, I had one other employee, and Ms. Cook just previously left. She was just there, and we were talking and chit-chatting and stuff like that. And then, like I said, all that went down, but it was me and one other employee who was working with me at the time.
Okay. Did was the other employee also working point of sale, or were they working?
Yes, she was staying by the counter area, like the corner area of the counter when it all went down.
Okay. Did she make any mention or of, that I get that you were distracted, but I mean, sometimes that's why it's helpful to have other people there backing you up, right? Did she make any mention of, hey, you forgot to check this guy's ID or this person's ID?
No, she did not. She was just standing there. She didn't say a word.
Okay.
Ms. Quaid, are you still employed at Cook's?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So you still have your job there?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
I immediately, right after it happened, I immediately jumped on the phone and called Miss Diane Cook and told Miss Diane that, Miss Cook, I said, Miss Diane, you are going to be so mad at me. You're going to cuss me out. You're going to probably even fire me. She goes, Becky, what happened? And it's completely explained to Miss Cook of what happened. And Miss Cook is like, Becky, calm down. It's a complete accident. It's understandable. We'll just go from there. And we've talked about it previous times since then, leading up to us coming here today.
How long have you been employed at Cook's?
Since July.
Of last year, correct?
Okay. So, you're going to retain your employment there, which is good. Obviously, you're going to continue to sell alcoholic beverages.
Yes, sir.
What are you going to do personally to ensure that while you're at point of sale that this does not happen?
I've definitely made a lot of changes with the other employees that I work with, which is really just 2 other employees. We now have come to like a group agreement that regardless of the fact, if you walk in and say you grab a bottle of liquor, I'm immediately IDing you. I'm going to ID you, even if you're just bringing it up to set it on the counter. And we do that now. I've done that now to, hey, I'm sorry, I need to see your ID too. Even if you're not paying for this, you brought it up to the counter. I need to see your ID, please. And if one person is not, say, as Mr. Watts, if you're 20 years old. You brought up the bottle of Tito's vodka. I'm sorry, I cannot sell you that bottle of Tito's vodka because, Mr. Watts, I'm sorry, you're only 20 years old. And we will not bring that bottle up. We'll, scoot it off to the side and, oh, okay, well, Mr. Wellenberg, you're 21 years old, so you brought up the 30-pack of Coors Light and a bottle of Smirnoff vodka. We can ring those up. And I will only take money from Mr. Wellenberg.
Okay.
I'm sorry if I pronounced your last name wrong, I'm sorry.
We've butchered enough names today. Only fair.
I mean, mine's gotten, even
Only
being
fair.
that it's, Quaid, I've been called Quad, and,
Okay.
believe you
Well, it
me.
certainly sounds like you have learned your lesson.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. I had no further questions. Anyone else?
Yeah, I think, Ms. Quaid, you should be grateful that you have an understanding employer, and Mrs. Cook,
I love her like she's almost like a mother figure to me. I've gone in the office numerous times, and we've closed the door and had closed conversations, and I've confided in her like she's a mom to me. I'm, currently dealing with some other family issues at home, and I've been able to confide in her. And, she's even asked me a couple little questions about her new grandson that she just, recently had. So,
Yeah, you're very lucky.
yes, thank you, sir.
I can make a motion.
You want to make a motion?
I can.
Go ahead.
You're so good at it.
Based on the facts that were read into record and in your testimony, and I appreciate you coming to testify. Pertaining to Rebecca Ann Quaid, for violation of the sale and providing alcohol beverages to an individual under the age of 21, in violation of 28 TAC 2802B of the Alcoholic Beverages Article of the Annotated Code of Maryland. Make a motion for a fine of $50 to be paid within the next 10 days.
Okay, we have a motion for a penalty of $50. Do we have a second?
I'll second that.
We have a second. So, do you get those?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Discussion?
Yeah, so you sound like, I get it, things distract you, and life happens. I do applaud your efforts to try to, make sure that it doesn't happen again, and I think, you probably do take this seriously. So that was the reasoning behind the $50 fine and nothing further, okay?
Thank you, sir.
Okay. So we have a first, we have a second. Generally discussions between us. So anyway, first, second, anybody else have anything you want to share with the board before we vote?
Nope, I was asking Tammy whether it was consistent with previous, and it is.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It's unanimous. So Rebecca, you have 10 days to pay the fine,
Okay.
the Alcohol Beverage Board office. You may, within 30 days of today, appeal the decision to the Circuit Court of St. Mary's County. Okay?
All right,
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Office member changes. So this is just going to be administrative thing.
Correct.
So we have 3. Anchorage 93, removing Daniel Volmer and adding Kelly Courtney. The second one is Moose Lodge 495, removing James E. Suit and adding Albert L. Downs. And the Fiesta Cafe, removing,
Guillermo.
okay, Soto, and adding Cynthia Ann Cirque. So, do we have a motion to approve these?
I make a motion that we approve the changes of the officers.
Okay. Do we have a second?
I'll second that.
All in favor? Oh, discussion? Any? All in favor?
Aye.
It's unanimous. Thank you. Okay. Now we go into the renewal process.
Just a question. When you say officer member change, are we talking, are these the licensees?
Yes.
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 Yes, sir. Yes. Thank you.
What do you want me to do with this?
You have little stickies there. Those are the officer changes, so when you get a
Okay.
chance, sign them. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. So, and the renewal for approval.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
So we're going to do this renewal thing in two sections.
Yes, sir.
First, we have a problem with one of them, and we're going to sit there and discuss that first, and then we're going to do a up and down on the other approvals, okay? So I'll read this in. As stated in Section 2.11G2 of the Rules and Regulations of the Alcohol Beverage Board of St. Mary's County, no hearing shall be required for a renewal unless the board administrator, which is Tammy, has reason to believe that discretionary action by the board is necessary. Patuxent Fine Wine and Spirits, per Section 4-205 of the Maryland Alcohol Beverage Article of the Antiquated Code of Maryland, a local licensing board may not issue a Class A, Class B, or Class D beer license, beer and wine license, or beer, wine, and liquor license for use in conjunction with or on the premise of 1, a chain store, and 2, a supermarket, or 3, a discount house. So go ahead, Tammy.
The board, as you recall, had brought Mr. William Price on inquiry a few months ago in regards to his question of ownership and whether he was working in conjunction with the grocery store. The board then asked for certain items for Mr. Price to bring in, or for our inspector to go and get these items as proof to verify that he does not work in conjunction with the grocery store that's next door to his business. The inspector went out, and you've been provided with the reports, and the evidence that you asked for was not provided and has not yet been provided. So, according to code, if this is still a question, you cannot approve this license.
By law.
By law. Or this renewal, forgive me, by law.
And Mr. Beaver, how about the testimony that we heard today from one of the violations? And is that relevant to this?
Yes, of course, all testimony provided in this chamber is relevant. Of course, you're hearing from an employee of the
Former employee.
A former employee of the licensee that's making an application for renewal here, who provided testimony during her violation hearing that she was an employee of the grocery store and was then filling in for the licensee here, which would seem to demonstrate that they're sharing employees. And again, just as a kind of a refresher from our prior hearings with regard to this licensee, and with regard to Section 4205 of the code, we've seen a comptroller's opinion on this particular section, talking about it and what does it really mean. And it's talked about commingling of businesses. That commingling of a licensee with a grocery store is a concern here. Included in that would be the sharing of employees. So that would be considered an element of commingling.
Okay. Do you want to sit there and review the the evidence that was presented before and get that all, or do we need to do that?
I don't know. That's entirely up to the board, what they'd like to consider. I mean,
Richard, do you need any additional information, or?
No, I think I'm pretty caught up. Tammy provided me all
Okay, okay.
information.
because we had the inquiry, so you've had that information provided to you when the licensee came in. As Tammy noted, there were requests for follow-up documents to that inquiry were requested of the licensee. The licensee, either failed to or refused to provide them to the board when requested, all in an effort to make a determination whether there was a commingling of these businesses, for this particular purpose.
And the hearing process to do the approval was very in-depth and was trying to be very helpful to the future licensee to make sure that they had everything in place to be successful. So I guess let's have some discussion, or you want to have we're going to need a motion on this. I mean, the law says we can't. Would they have enough time to, if we deny it today, to be able to come in here and provide the tools that we need to be able to see that they are in fact separate, and still be able to be able not to lose their liquor license in the interim? I mean, do we have enough time? But for now, if we say no today,
Right.
do we have enough time for them to stay in business?
I guess the question you're asking
That'll
is.
lapse.
Right, the current license does not expire until
April 30th.
April 30th.
However,
Right.
you're next. In order to avoid an interruption,
Right.
you would need to have that evidence by your April meeting and then approve this.
At that time.
Or what would it be? Renege their denial? I mean,
I don't know, or
is that the right word?
See, I don't think, it sounds like we're just not approving, at this time, we're not approving their renewal.
Right.
Right, and then
Right,
so
so-
giving them the opportunity to then provide the evidence that the board's requested
Right.
in the April due date, or by our April meeting, in which case, if they provide sufficient evidence at that time, we should be able to approve their renewal in time for them to
Yeah.
continue without interruption by April 30th.
I guess we could.
Did I state that correctly?
That sounds appropriate, and I think a tool for that would be maybe to table this, this renewal to that time, to give the licensee the opportunity to provide whatever information it feels the board is needed or has been requested by the board for this board to be able to, make a final determination.
Mr. Beaver, in light of what they have provided to us in regards to what was requested,
Yes.
should we qualify that for the April meeting that they, for example, copies of certain canceled checks, and their response was the licensee commissions a third party to provide accounting and bookkeeping services, therefore does not maintain these records at the establishment? Can this be, and there were 4 of them, I think, here, hang on.
I'm familiar with the questionnaire.
There's five
Right.
here. Can we qualify this to address each of these here? What would be appropriate?
I don't know if that's necessary. The licensee is fully aware of the requests that have been made for information. They were provided by our inspector with these requests. So they're aware of what this board is asking of them. I don't think it's necessary to sit here and then go through and itemize what we expect. I think this board has done an exceptional job of asking the licensee for information. I believe this board's gone out of its way to try to help this licensee to clarify this issue. So I don't think it's necessary to sit here once again and deliberate that and lay it out. I think they're fully aware of what they need to
There's
do.
no need for a hearing again or nothing like that. We're either going to, we have additional, I want to sit, I like the idea of just disapproving it right now.
Yeah.
Or tabling it, either path. don't want anybody going out of business. I want people to be successful. But, on the other hand, they fully understand what's needed. We've already had a hearing. So I think all we need is to table it until the next meeting, and we either have what we need, clarification, and maybe even Mr. Hall verifying any of the issues that we had before, and presenting his findings at it, and we make a decision.
Well, it sounds like now, at least they're on a clock, right? I mean, I can understand their response to say that, hey, they didn't have, it's a third party, we don't have it on site. Okay, fine, fair. But now you got 30 days to come up with it. So even if it is a third party.
They've had.
Well, they've had months, but now it's.
Right, and I would.
Deadline.
I think that is very clear, and I think this is, once again, this board showing some understanding and providing yet another opportunity for them to provide that before denying this application.
Right.
So. So I believe we need a motion if you would like to table.
Make a motion that we table it until our next meeting, giving them ample time to come up with the evidence that we've asked for, the proper papers and stuff before we make a final decision.
Okay, we have a motion to table it until next meeting.
I'll second that.
We have a second from Member Watts. Barbara made the initial motion. Any discussion?
And this is to table it till the next meeting?
Yeah, to the April meeting.
Will they be notified of this?
They'll be notified tomorrow that their renewal was denied or tabled until they come up with
Give
that.
them every chance possible to correct this.
Absolutely, sir. Absolutely.
Very good, yeah.
Okay, any more further discussion of this? Okay. Have a vote? All in favor?
Aye.
It's unanimous. Thank you. Okay.
Blanket approval.
Do we have something we need to read for these approvals?
Okay.
Read in the record?
Yeah, okay, Mr. Watts.
I gave you a renewal breakdown. So of the 166 filed renewals, obviously this one is tabled. So there are 165 that have met all the renewal obligations. So I'm asking the board for a blanket approval of those 165 renewal applications.
Okay. Do we have a motion to provide the blanket approval for the 165 applications?
I'll make the motion to approve the 165 approval applications.
Okay, we have a motion to approve.
I'll second that.
So
That's for the calendar year 2022.
Correct. No, license year.
License year.
Okay.
Okay, we have a first, we have a second. All in favor?
Who said?
What-
Wait a minute, I got two.
Miss Hill did.
second.
Barbara.
Okay, because Mr. Watts is sitting there going.
I was voting. What's going on, man?
Any other discussion?
No.
No. All in favor?
Aye.
It's unanimous. Thank you. Board Administrator report.
Make it fast.
Make it fast. Yeah,
Okay.
35 minutes.
Last training, every 2 weeks, going good. Renewals, got through it. And then just in regards to legislation, I had a executive board meeting with Mela yesterday, and member from the Alcohol Tobacco Commission that's on that board stated that a lot of the liquor bills, the local liquor bills that local jurisdictions were getting pulled back and unfavorable, including, and Dave is here, he can get into detail on that, but including the grocery store referendum and that bill have also been, are off the table. So Dave will, Mr. Dent will, I'll let him detail that for you if you like. But other than that, oh, Myers is back. So, other than that,
Question for you, Mela.
sir,
Is Mela going to do a conference this year?
going to do a virtual conference in May.
Okay, it's going to be virtual?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
And again, we'll do like we did last year. We'll set up our RAS training room on that day, so all board members, if they want to come and join the virtual group, or you can do it on your own.
Okay, can we do that in Ocean City?
If you're in Ocean City and you have a laptop, you go right ahead.
Beauty of virtual, you can do it anywhere.
Do it anywhere. We're hoping 2023, we're back in OC.
Richard. You don't know about these, right?
Never been that one.
Good deal.
Thank you.
Okay, any questions for? No. Okay. Alcohol Enforcement Coordinator report.
Oh, yeah, they would have to. They would have to.
Yeah.
Welcome back.
Yeah.
Last month and 4 violations. There was 22 DUIs, and we're going to continue that pace, hopefully, for the future. And I'm happy to be back. It's a little different, but on a good note.
Okay, good.
We gave him a great office.
Oh.
You have concealed carry?
No, I'm actually a deputy, so.
Oh, so you're still a deputy, so you
I can conceal it or not.
right on your hip.
Still sworn.
Okay, cool.
I was just not sworn for 61 days.
Okay, cool. How many DUIs did you say we had?
22.
22?
Yes.
Okay.
Can you talk to the trend with regards to both violations and DUIs? I mean, the establishment violations, if you will. Is it like pretty flat, or is it over time increasing, decreasing?
I would say it's increasing because we have, in the past, I mean, I did it for 2 years because I was supervision and then I kind of split duties, but when we would send somebody in, we would have no violations, whether it be the CI's baby face that we used, even the 20-year-old that you spoke of earlier, he has a baby face. You would think he's 15. So with that said, we've had maybe a couple here and there when we did covert operations. Nowadays, it seems like it's consistently, we're having violations, whether it be a north end or a south end business. So it's kind of odd too, because of the information that is being provided to everybody with Tammy's training. They're definitely well aware of it, whether they take either training. They know we're out there. It's not like we don't publicize or tell them in this type of setting, which is on YouTube, which will be viewed because of Mr. Cole's statement earlier by a lot of people.
Well, the whole thing was we went for quite an extended period there with no violations.
Yes,
You know,
and I don't know if that was a COVID kind of thing.
Yeah, I don't think so.
But, well.
I don't know.
I mean, hey, look, if I send somebody in and we go to 20 places and there's no violations, I can't give you an example of why that happens, So we can go into 20 places and no violations, go into 10 and have 4.
Right.
I don't know. I can't provide you a reasoning for the clerks one day checking IDs and one day not. Same as the last situation you just had, December 8th, she was the clerk that checked his ID when they went in there. So, and then of course, whatever date the violation was in January, she didn't check it. So it's here or there, but it just seems like now that perhaps because we're doing so much more, before we only did, biannual, now we're doing it monthly. And thanks to the CAC, because of their grant that they provided, we're able to do it monthly now. So that'll continue, and hopefully it'll continue on, just because it gives us a better idea of, and tells people they better be checking, because it's monthly. They don't know who's going to be hit, who, if you violated before, of course, you're going to get, another cadet or whomever we have, a correctional officer that's underage, go in. So they just have to do the right thing, and the right thing is what? Ask for an ID. And the next step is, once you get the ID, you go to Tammy's training and learn how to look for a fake ID. So
Well,
I think there's so many things that are put in place that there should not be anybody in front of you.
Yeah. Well, I think it makes a real difference, this monthly as opposed to.
Yeah, but sometimes,
We'll see what happens,
It is very good to do it, but you have to also think of it in this way, as far as the mindset of Mr. Dent and of business owners alike. We go in there for covert operations monthly. We go in there for tobacco violations monthly. And we just see them quite often, because then we go in just to educate on the law, to see how they're doing. So that's like now 3 checks a month. And sometimes they tend to think that's, what are you doing, kind of thing. 3 checks in a month, but rest assured, there's no way that nobody is not educated about it. They know we're there. They know what to do. Even the clerks that spoke today, they know what to do. They know to ask. To provide an excuse is no good reason, because all you have to do is ask, especially the girl. They're the same age, so they know they're both young to ask him. So it's just an educational thing. Sometimes, like you said, it was last customer, so that's kind of laziness. You just want to get up and get out of there and not look at the ID or even ask for an ID. So it's on the person that's being employed. I think the owners are doing their due diligence in training their personnel, because they don't want to be sitting in here for now record 2.5 hours. But so I think it's going to continue on, and we're going to hopefully see a decline in sales to underage, just because of the educational factor and the coverts colliding.
Are we keeping any sort of metric, and if so, what kind? And so don't sort of belabor this. Maybe I can just come to the office and talk in a little more detail. But in fact, I'll just leave it at this. I know we do keep some sort of metric of, hey, we're doing this many checks and we had this many failures. I guess there's probably another layer of the metric that we could probably keep to maybe help us get a better insight into, the type of systems that are in place, right? And maybe that, is it happening in a particular time period? Is it of the day, right? Is it happening, do these, the places that are having these violations, right? Do they have a different set of systems and processes and procedures in place than the guys who are not having those, right? So that's kind of what I'm trying to get to. Like I said, maybe I can come to the office one day.
We did it in the morning. We did it in the afternoon.
Random.
And evening.
Sure.
And so I would say, believe it or not, the morning and evening, not midday, was more of a violation.
Sure.
Especially depending on what businesses they are. They might be around an attraction that brings in a lot of population. And then you can use the at least excuse that you're busy.
Yeah.
But it's just a question.
Excuse.
Can I see your ID?
Yeah, I'm a data-driven guy. I mean, I'm doing developmental flight tests for almost 30 years, right? It's just that's my nature, is to collect data, analyze data, look at data, and it just seems like there's some sort of trend, some sort of pattern, something we can probably learn from, right? And it could be really interesting. So I'll leave it at that. But
I mean, I understand the young man trying to school us in philosophy, but the fact is, yes, we tried to stay in the parameters of 18, 19-year-old, but he's a young 20-year-old. He just turned 20. all right? And he does have a baby face. So either way you look at it, I don't care if he's 20 or not, is he's the same age as the one girl, so she should know.
Right.
All right? So just ask. And that is the purpose of our covert operations. If you ask, guess what? He doesn't have anything on him, so he has to say, I'm sorry, I don't have my ID with me, and leave, period. You know? And I know they boast about the green and red. That's a great system that backs up our system. That one you don't get fines and financial ruins and jail time, and they just get a red thumbs up or a red card or a green card. But it keeps them on their toes too. So we have so many things. That's Community Alcohol Coalition that has that subcontractor. So when somebody says they don't have enough training, you have to look at them kind of cross-eyed, because there's a lot of training out there that's being presented. There's a lot of covert operations. Myself and the guys that I used to have under me would go out and educate the clerks, educate the managers on what the fines are, what the established guidelines are, what you're going to see when you go in front of the board. So it's been established. And now that I'm just alcohol coordinator, we could absolutely concentrate our efforts monthly on that atmosphere to see if there's a decline or, we still have a problem.
Okay, thank you.
Very good.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Okay, we'll move on to the board inspector report. Mr. Hall?
This past month, I did 18 inspections, had 5 follow-ups to gather stuff they didn't have when I went the first time, to 2 rash trainings, 2 mailer calls, working with the, watching the office some days when we were busy. I did make 12 phone calls for people the last week that hadn't turned in their renewal, so was helping out with renewals and rash training and stuff, so that's,
okay.
Glad it was over. That was a busy couple weeks.
I'm sure.
Oh, and that's what I had for the month, so.
Okay. Thank you. Questions?
No, sir.
Okay. Thank you.
Mr. Dent is here.
Yep. Mr. Dent?
How many inspections did you have? 18.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. It's good to see you guys.
Good afternoon.
Thanks for having us in. I'm David Dent with the St. Mary's County Licensed Beverage Association. I'd like to report a little bit on some, last time I was here, we talked about some legislation. I wanted to give you an update on it. The first piece of legislation that I'll talk about was, let's see, it's House Bill 506. And that was sponsored by Delegate Lily Chi from Montgomery County. This was the constitutional amendment to get beer and wine into grocery stores. That bill was withdrawn by the sponsor. So it was cross-filed in the Senate, and I know the Senate had a hearing as well, but I haven't heard anything from the Senate, but in the House it was withdrawn, so it didn't even get a vote. The second important bill that we talked about was House Bill 858. That was proposed by Delegate Regina Boyce out of Baltimore City. That was the bill to have to allow grocery stores and convenience stores to sell beer and wine. That was heard before the Economic Matters Committee, and it was voted unfavorable out of that committee, 19-1. So that wasn't cross-filed with the Senate, so I don't think the Senate even brought up that bill. But so I appreciate you guys' support in opposition to that from the last meeting. And so far, it looks, nothing's ever done in Annapolis till everybody leaves Annapolis. But I think we're in pretty good shape this year when it comes to stopping grocery stores and big box stores and convenience stores from them to have liquor license. So again, I thank you for your support on that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Just if you allow me, Mr. Chairman, too, just to make a comment. We were talking about, the rise of violations.
Yes, sir.
And I think everything that's said here was right. I mean, I think we have a lot of training. The board provides training, and there's the state training that's required. And it concerns me, not only as a member of the community, but as a business owner, why things are falling through the cracks, and we're not properly, identifying underage people, at least in the cases with, I'd like to thank the CAC also for, they do a great service to the community with their red card, green card program. They get to a lot of licensees, and if a business happens to get a red card, that just lets that licensee and the managers know they need to concentrate harder on their training. And also, if they get a green card, not only do they get a, that attaboy, that was good, but also reminds them that they need to continue the training. I know as a business owner, we talk about carding people every single shift, every single day. In the morning, I talk with my morning cashiers, and, selling age-restricted products is a responsibility that we need to make sure that we follow through on. And, in my business, the way I do that as an owner is I have daily conversations with all of our servers, our bartenders, our cashiers, just, hey, what's the date? What day is legal? We put it down on every single special sheet that we have for our servers. At the bottom of it, today's date for alcohol and tobacco is, and we have the correct date, so everybody knows what the date is. We have we card calendars at all of our point of sale. So all you have to do is look at the card and look at the calendar. That's all you have to do. And that being said, and not to make excuses, but, working in retail over the last couple of years has been trying. People have short tempers, and it's not an excuse, but, employees are fatigued. So it's the responsibility of the owner to set a leadership standard and say, we can be fatigued, but we're not going to be fatigued about the most important part of our job. The most important part of our job is to maintain our community standard by making sure that we adhere to the law. So, although we are fatigued at times, I'm fatigued at times as well, and I'm sure everybody here is with their job. But the standard is we cannot sell to a minor, and whatever it takes to do that is what we are attempting to do. So I'd like to thank the Sheriff's Department, I'd like to thank the CAC and the board for working with us. Our retail association is hopefully, now that the COVID pandemic is less prevalent as before, we can get back to working with our members again at our level to make sure everybody's following the guidelines, and just appreciate you guys' support. And that's it, unless you guys have any questions for me.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Dent.
Okay, thank you. You'll have a nice day.
Yeah, I just have a comment.
Yes, sir.
Again, same topic here. I wonder, and interestingly, I have been a business owner myself, and I've been here on the other side of this fence and paid $1,000 fine myself. Okay, so I understand both sides of the fence, if you will. And that was a number of years ago, by the way. This is probably definitely a future effort here, but I would be interested in hearing perhaps success stories. Who's out there, whether it's this county, this state, or in the U.S. that have, not, obviously training is important, but are there other tools in combination with training or whatever is out there that helps to keep the violations down, make sure that, the compliance is consistent? Just like collecting data, that's another part of it. I think perhaps we need to think outside the box as a board and with the community to figure this out. Maybe after we do all that, maybe we'll come up with something a little better. Even you get a 10% improvement, that's an improvement, right? So just throwing out there for future conversation, and maybe Tammy can help us maybe in that. Just a comment.
Sounds good, would love to participate.
Yeah.
So, thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
You, Dave.
And Mr. Shea is
Yes.
Christopher.
Community Alcohol Coalition. Welcome. Thank you.
Thank you, Chris. As deputy now. I've been promoted from sergeant to deputy. I retired. There you go.
Back,
Thank you.
So coming out of the CAC, we're still having our meetings, and as mentioned, the red and green cards are out there. The group that we work with, they've been seeing, I don't have the exact figures, it's well over 100 establishments so far in the county giving out those cards. And just to speak to some of the education, that's one of the things that we do with the CAC. And we periodically do deliver goodie bags. In the goodie bags are usually pamphlets, and I mean, they vary, but it's typically pamphlets and other things to help identify and work your business to meet the codes. We also have the books, the latest books, I think we have the 2022 ones, to identify your illegal licenses. I'm missing the word.
fraudulent.
It's late, thank you. And it goes through every state, you know, what a state license should look like, what to look for, things like that. So, you know, we do distribute that out to all of them as well. So that's where we are. We have, through the Health Department, also applied for grant funding with the Maryland Department of Transportation to once again participate in the project graduation. This would be for the academic year ending 2023 to have a drunk driving simulator vehicles present as we did in previous years. So that has been submitted, and hopefully we hear back favorably.
Mm-hmm.
If anyone has any questions?
Any questions? Thank you.
Thank you. Great. Thank you, everyone.
I have one question or
Oh, yes.
request. Can you send me the stats from the RRF report? RRF is a responsible retailer form that does that you pay through your grants to do the red card, green card program. So we do get an overall graphing and stats that I would like to pass on to the board.
Yes, most definitely.
Thank you.
Yep, very good.
I have a quick question. What is a drunk driver simulator?
Oh, it's a wonderful tool. The kids love it, actually. So, no, it is exciting. Sorry. Not the drunk driving part, the tool itself. So we contract with a company who is located, I believe, in D.C. or outside of D.C., and they're going to bring in, our current grant is for 2 vehicles. You bring in actual vehicles, but they're equipped with goggles and a computer simulation so that the kids can feel the wheel and pretend that you're driving, but it looks like then a video game, but it's going to simulate different levels of drunkenness and to help them to understand this is what it's like, you know. So for those who say, that's not me, or I can handle it, or it's no big deal, they can actually sit there and, you know, go through, no, this is what it's really like, and how well are you going to, you know, cope with this. We're also looking into this vendor also has one that can do impairment for marijuana, and where the our state may be trending. So we may do 1 vehicle alcohol, 1 vehicle marijuana. And the plan is to have some goodies for the students who participate in there. The grant also calls for education sessions. So that contractor would bring in individuals into the high schools and do some education work on laws, penalties for violation of said laws and, things like that, so.
Bring them brownies.
Gummy bears, actually.
Part of the simulation.
Never mind.
Any other questions? Thank you.
All right, thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Board member time? Anybody have anything?
I just thought of a patentable device that could help in this reducing the.
Well, don't tell us.
Well,
If you wanna make money off of it.
Well, I would only say it because I wouldn't be going after it. But with today's technology, AI and machine learning, a vendor could devise, put the license in it, and you can write an algorithm that will identify both whether the license is fraudulent, and also scan that face recognition technology, and then we'll scan that face to match that, say it's good, and give you a quick green light, red light. Boom.
Already got it.
They got it?
Yep.
Well,
Reliable?
There's one. There's tons of them out there.
well,
There's only one.
He's talking
reliable.
about both combined, though.
Well, he's
The
talking about
facial
the face-
recognition is 100%. What she's talking about is not.
Scanning. However, MVA is coming up with digital ID, so that'll be.
Yeah, so
But
it
the facial-
verifies, it verifies the license is
top secret
valid,
clearance kind of
and
stuff.
Yeah, and it verifies that license belongs to that person. Then that would work. Anyways, just saying.
Gotcha.
Anything else? Motion to adjourn?
I make a motion, we adjourn this March 10th, 2022 meeting.
Okay, we have a motion to adjourn. Do we have a second?
I'll make a second.
Mr. Watts seconds it.
We got 9
Member
minutes to
Hill?
get out of the building.
Any discussion? No? All in favor? Aye. Meeting's over at
3:51.
Oh,